Salute, everyone. The streets are buzzing. How we doing all? Hope everyone's well. Welcome to the chat show. We shout you out. We keep it 100. Healthy Knicks talk. We're going to chop up tonight. We're going to chop up the veterans, and it's time to move on from a lot of these veterans. We're going to chop it up. We're going to talk about good homes for these veterans and where we can make some moves and revamp this roster to clear the runway for the young studs of the New York Knicks and the stars of the future as well. It's been a hot topic, obviously, throughout last season, where we obviously made a lot of moves, and these veterans were in the way of Obi Toppin, getting in the way of Emmanuel quickly getting minutes, Cam Reddish as well. Some of these veterans have useful homes on other teams throughout the league, and of course, a lot of these veterans weren't healthy as well. So it's going to be a challenge to move on from all of the veterans, but certainly, not all of them. And of course, it starts at the very top. Julius Randle, the New York Knicks front office is very loyal, and that's going to be tested. That's going to be tested this off season, and we're going to talk about some potential moves and some landing spots for Julius tonight, and what kind of moves we can expect and what kind of return you guys think that we can get back. But I salute to the chat. Everyone's up in here strong. Salute. Prometheus, that's a tap. Jarvis LaFleur, salute. Got the streets buzzing, you know it. Lily Phillips, a salute. Glad you could join us. And Drew, always up in here strong. Salute. Just finished your final college paper for the school year. Hey, congrats, fam. And I got a week off to catch up on some sleep and mental detox. Yeah, right. We're all detoxing from this season, right? It went through in the blink of an eye, and it feels like the season shouldn't be over. Something just feels missing. I'm enjoying these playoffs, and we're going to chop up a lot of the playoffs as well. Big task. What's happening? Yeah, I'm well. Hope you're well, fam. And Lily says it's crazy to see Bullock doing his thing tonight. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to chop up that result from the Dallas Phoenix lineup, and some Jalen Brunson buzz will continue. Salute. Knicks Real Talk. Divine up in here. Strong. Salute. Like and subscribe to Knicks Real Talk. Doing huge things. Keith, what's good, my friend? What's good? And big task. Yep, streets are always buzzing. Kaiser Soze, what's good, fam? What's good? What's up? What's up? And let's get into the good, the bad, the ugly, like we do to start this thing off. Right, I got some new things to pop in here and chop this thing up. And let's start with the good. The flexibility, that hasn't changed. And all the more prevalent, tonight's topic is the veterans, grand vet sale. We need to move on from a lot of these veterans, if not all of them, if we can, and clear the decks. And the Knicks young core, that is the reason why we need to move on from a lot of these veterans, right? We don't know what their ceiling can be. No one knows what their ceiling can be, but these veterans will hold that ceiling back if they're here. We're not here to contend in the short term. A lot of these players we're going to talk about tonight, I love. They're good character guys. Some of them are great, some of them not so great. But, I don't want to just move on from these guys just for the sake of it. It's because of the long-term plan this organization needs to have in order to get to the very top, right? We see it in the playoffs now. Ja Morant dominating, generational talent. Luka Doncic dominating. Joel Embiid. The New York Knicks need to find their next franchise superstar for the future in order to compete and win a championship. And also, what's good with that is teams are flaming out as well, back to square one for most of the league. And what that means is a lot of teams are going to be second guessing, soul searching, going back to the drawing board, into the war room with their front office and talking about how they can upgrade their rosters. So that's suitable for the New York Knicks. And like I said, we have a lot of veterans that will help some other teams as well. And the playoff watch, that continues as well. We've got some players balling out. Ex-Knick, Reggie Bullock, to Lily's point. We got Jalen Brunson had a good game tonight as well. So we're going to be seeing some, as the playoffs go along, we're going to be able to see, who's stepping up and who's the teams to look out for the future. And of course, the lottery, ladies and gentlemen, very, very soon, less than 2 weeks away. The lottery, I was thinking about it tonight. New York Knicks, they're due. Now, I've been hearing a lot of people say the New York Knicks are due, but it's true. We've been waiting forever and a day in order to move up in this thing, right? And it's only prevalent with the odds. The odds, it's only a matter of time before the New York Knicks catch a break and finally move up, right? Is it going to be this year, right? 9.4% chance of getting into the top 4. I'm excited. I know you guys are as well. And we could really change the trajectory of this franchise by picking up one of these top 4 talents, which we're going to chop up a lot more, and also in future shows as well. And a young prospect, Shaden Sharp, declares his stock's rising. He's going to be looking like he's going to be in the top 4 or so, top 6, but potentially as well, a potential number 1 option for the New York Knicks in the future, next to star Jay Barrett, fellow Canadian. So I'm loving the good. With that, there's always the bad. Trading the farm. No, I don't want to move on from the farm. I'm happy to slow cook this thing, right? Slow cook it right so that it tastes right. And we have a log jam to clear, ladies and gentlemen, which we're going to do tonight with the Grand Bet sale. The front office getting on the same page. That could be a hindrance with this thing, right? We know how this front office operates. Getting on the same page is going to be critical, right? And if not, if they can't, then Leon Rose needs to pull rank and make the right decisions for the future, right? Put loyalty aside, right? And do this thing right. Do his job that James Dolan is paying him big dollars to do, and to turn this New York Knicks franchise around to be a winning organization. And with that, the off-season uncertainty, that's going to be huge as well. We don't really know what's going to happen with Mitchell Robinson, unrestricted free agent. We're going to have some potential decisions to make with Cam Reddish, RJ Barrett as well, with minutes, with extensions. Also, the off-season uncertainty, it's always keeps me awake at night, and I know it's keeping you guys awake and the front office. Jalen Brunson buzzing continues. Good performance tonight. Struggled in Phoenix, away, in a hostile environment. But having said that, balled out again on his home court. Jalen Brunson carrying the load next to Luka. What do you guys think about that? And Mitchell Robinson's unrestricted free agency. And of course, last but not least, the ugly. A lot of work to do, right? And I've also got trading the pick. I do not want to trade the pick this year as well. We need to make this selection for many reasons, but for most of the reasons why I'll say the draft pick coming in this season is on the timeline of the current young players, and the further we delay it, is the further we're not going to be in sync. I feel like the New York Knicks need to make their draft selection this year, and that's my opinion. I want to hear yours. I think that's critical that the Knicks make their draft pick wherever it falls. We need to make that draft selection. Don't be tempted to trade the pick, right? So that was the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's continue to chop this thing up. Let's get into the chat. Salute, Will. What's good, my friend? What's good? And big task, CT. It does feel like something is missing. I feel cheated, right? Yeah, we were spoiled, big task and chat fam. Everyone out there, we were spoiled last season with the unexpected playoff performance. But this season, it rings home. Just I guess all the bad moves that we made came home to roost, right? JJ, salute. Thoughts on Malachi Branham should be available if we get the 11th or 12th pick, JJ. I love Malachi Branham. Salute. We're going to chop that up a lot more. But I also feel good with the 11th pick, JJ, on that point. If we don't move up, I love Tari Eason, Dyson Daniels, and Malachi Branham at the 11th spot. I think those 3 wings could really help us out. Yeah, given where the selection's going to be, 11th spot, beggars can't be choosers, right? Those guys can make an impact. And Drew says what we're missing is the playoff appearance that we should have made if Thibs wasn't so damn stubborn, right? Yep, you hit the money, Drew. You hit the money there, and that's why I said it's ringing home to roost. And Tarek, salute, up in here strong with the crew, salute. White Falcon, we need PG again, always on his PG train as well. We've got some talk about the Clippers. I've got the Clippers posted as a few nice homes for some of these veterans that we're going to sell off tonight. And with that said, salute Sharp Powers, salute. Let's get it. And Divine up in here strong. Knicks real talk. CT would love to see the Knicks follow the Grizzlies blueprint. A lot of young talent. A Divine always on the money there, fam. That's right, right. Right coach, young players empowered, right, making the right picks. A lot of luck as well. Obviously, Desmond Bain fell in their lap. That was a sneaky great pick, value pick. Dylan Brooks, for all that he's been doing in the news, Dylan Brooks is a really good young piece. And of course, yeah, like you said, all you need is that generational guy, Ja Morant, that can elevate your franchise from down low to up top as well. And the great vet fire sale sounds good to Kaiser as well. Salute up in here. I know a lot of us are on the same mindset. And salute Todd. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope you're well. And with that said, the chat's popping already. Let's hit on our first veteran, right? None other than the Bronx native, Mr. Kemba Walker as well. Kemba Walker, I don't see a future for Kemba Walker moving forward. And I think that's going to be no surprise. This is an easy one to start things off, ladies and gents. Kemba Walker, I was probably one of the most excited fans when Kemba Walker became a New York Knick. One, because we hadn't had a point guard, a decent, notable point guard for a long, long time. But of course, I chose to ignore the warning signs. The warning signs were there with Boston. The warning signs were there with Dallas, and sorry, not with Dallas, with OKC, with Boston. Boston and them trading a first round pick to get out of Kemba, and then of course OKC wanting nothing to do with Kemba. And we know Kemba didn't spend like the last, was it 2 months with the team? He wasn't even around the facility. Reports say he was probably, elsewhere in another city, getting his body right. And prayers up to Kemba Walker. Still feel like he has a lot to offer as well. So with that said, before I hit on the chat, I want to get you my thoughts out there and the teams that I think are the most likely to get a Kemba Walker acquisition. And I've got to start with Charlotte as well. What would be nicer than a homecoming, so to speak, in terms of back to the franchise that he made his name in. Kemba Walker, a 4-time All-Star with the Charlotte Hornets as well. I know they're a young up-and-coming team. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's a possibility, Kemba Walker can find a home with Charlotte? We know they have some pieces that the New York Knicks, might be interested in. PJ Washington, I'll take a second-round pick even. It doesn't have to be a returning player because we're trying to sell off some veterans. So for $8 million expiring contract, I see no issues with finding Kemba Walker a home. So his knee would have been a lot rested as well. If you think about it, he would have had time to get his knee right. And with that said, the next home I could see the LA Clippers potentially being a home, suits their timeline, suits the older players out there with Kawhi, PG, Reggie Jackson out there. Maybe needs another ball handler to back him up as well. The Clippers are flaming out and their window's closing. They're going to need some steady hands, some steady veterans. And we know Kemba Walker can still light it up. We know he could still fill it up. 40 points on Christmas Day. We'll never forget that performance as well. Multiple 30-point performances as well. So a fresh rested Kemba Walker is still a bucket and still a guy that can get things done. And of course, the other team out in LA, the Lakers. Well, what's going to happen with the Lakers is going to be a huge revamp out there. But if LeBron stays, you can bet that he's going to want some steady veterans around him again. So the LA Lakers. And of course, I'll put the Brooklyn Nets in there as well. Another aging team with a short window, a very, very short window. Patty Mills, not a lot of backups behind Kemba Walker. Behind Kyrie Irving. And Kemba Walker can step in and help the Brooklyn Nets out, and he wouldn't have to leave home. You wouldn't have to change cities. So give me your thoughts on that, ladies and gents, with the Kemba Walker situation. Let me see if anyone's popped anything out there. Salute Joseph. What's good? What's sad is that out the veterans would be the best bench in the league without the veterans. Yeah, our young core was given the keys. The keys are 2 to 3 years. The kids are 2 to 3 years away. Just bad timing for our vets and kids coexisting. Yeah, I love that last point you said, Joseph. It's just bad timing because, we were off the 4th seed and we were looking like a playoff team. So I can understand the front office stacking up with these veterans. And a lot of their contracts, aren't too bad. They're not ideal, but not too bad either. So a lot of these players can be moved, but yeah, I can understand the front office conundrum as well. And White Falcon throws something out there. Terry Rozier for a Walker trade as well. I don't see that as likely, White Falcon, but appreciate you throwing that out there because Tom Thibodeau is still going to want another veteran to probably run the point ideally. But my purpose for a Kemba Walker trade would be to get out of Kemba Walker and to bring probably either a draft compensation or another expiring back. So that's my thoughts in the Kemba Walker trade. Salute Geraldine up in here. What's good? What's good? And Ohio, what's good? What's good? What would a Donovan Mitchell trade look like? We'll chop that up a bit later, Ohio. But yeah, it's going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging to see what that's going to look like, fam. I think a lot of draft picks. I'll say that a lot of draft picks and some young players that I don't want to move on from at this point. And White Falcon says Kemba might not even go nowhere. Buyout candidate possibly as well. I appreciate you putting that out there. I forgot. Obviously, buyout candidate is another avenue. So Kemba Walker, these homes are found for Kemba Walker, either Charlotte, the Clippers, the Lakers, or the Brooklyn Nets, or a buyout. And he can go wherever his heart desires as well. So with that said, thank you, Kemba Walker. Appreciate your services. And I hope you have some years left in the league. Hope you can help some of these teams out. It didn't work out here as well. We got Emmanuel Quickly coming up at the point. We got Deuce McBride as well coming up at the point. We might draft another point guard if we can get to the top 4. Jaden Ivey. We might draft Dyson Daniels. We might draft Ty. Who knows what's going to happen on draft night? But looking at the guys we have under our own watch, I'm happy with Emmanuel Quickly starting the season at point. Let's give Quickly the keys. Let's give Quickly the keys for this season and let's see. But hey, Kemba Walker, like I said, appreciate your services. It didn't work out. It's a sad situation. But Charlotte could fit nice there. Clippers, Lakers out there battling for the bragging rights out there on the West Coast. And Brooklyn, Brooklyn, what's up? They flamed out. They've got a short window now. And KD, Kyrie, dysfunction there. Ben Simmons having back surgery again. Let that sink in as well. For once, we're not the, we didn't even make the play-in, and we're not even the most dysfunctional team in New York. Let that sink in. In the words of my man, Ron Cleveland in the building, ladies and gentlemen, salute as well. I know Ron was high on Kemba. He was the first one to text me when Kemba Walker became a New York Knick. And I was like, what's going on? I was happy, but, the optimistic fan in me chose to ignore the warning signs as well. The warning signs were there, ladies and gents. So, yeah, we found Kemba Walker a home, either a buyout or it's Charlotte, Clippers, Lakers, and Brooklyn. And I don't want to take any salary back, either an expiring player or a draft compensation, if a team's willing to even give us, a second round selection as well. So whilst we're on point guard, let's pivot to one other than Derrick Rose, Chi-Town's finest, ladies and gentlemen. This one's going to be a bit more tougher and a tougher pill to swallow for me. But for me, I thank D Rose for his services. Not last season would not have been possible without the services of Derrick Rose, right? Derrick Rose came in here and changed this franchise around. We weren't even headed towards the playoffs last season if we're keeping it a buck, right? D Rose came in here and he did his thing, ladies and gentlemen. He balled out. He was the MVP in my eyes from last season, right? He was the team's true closer. He shot the ball extremely well from 3. He won us games off his own shot so many times. And Derrick Rose still has a lot of game left. Now, unfortunately, the odds didn't work out this season. The aging Derrick Rose is going to be 34 years old in October, ladies and gentlemen, 34 years of age. And I don't want to risk relying on him again. I don't want to risk bringing D Rose into the season and, touch wood, God forbid, he suffers another injury and may need another surgery or anything like that. Not saying it's very likely, but if you can get out of D Rose, then why not? Why not? We're not on that timeline of D Rose, unfortunately. So that's reason number 1. reason number 2 is I want to do the right thing by D Rose. You know, the league's youngest MVP. You know, a generational player that most people love and adore as well. So why not find him a home and let him get a ring, right? Let him get a ring while he's still got game, while he's still healthy, while his knees are still intact. Derrick Rose, it's going to be tough. You know, Tom Thibodeau's here. They're like family as well. So in diving into that, the number 1 landing spot for Derrick Rose is none other than his hometown, the Chicago native, back to the Chicago Bulls as well. If the New York Knicks trade D Rose, I don't see them shipping him out to Utah. I don't see him shipping him out to OKC or anywhere like that. Tom Thibodeau loves D Rose. The organization loves D Rose. And the only way they're going to move him is to move him to a place of his own desire as well. He's going to have to sign off on this thing. So that's where I came up with Chicago and Washington. Washington, you know, a team in the playoff picture. You know, the Washington Wizards on the come up. You know, they've got some veterans, Bradley Beal as well. D Rose would be a nice fit out there. And of course, Washington's not too far away on the East Coast. Now, one outlier, I put the Clippers out there. You know, I know it's far away from home. D Rose doesn't like to be too far away from home, but the LA Clippers, ladies and gentlemen, could do with the D Rose. You know, yeah, he might decide that, hey, I got a couple more years in me. Let us do it. Let's get it done. Let's get that ring with Kawhi and PG and have a crack at this thing with 1 year left, maybe one or 2 years in their timeline. So, ladies and gentlemen, D Rose makes $15 million as well. Next season is a team option as well, ladies and gentlemen. So I need to stress that. D Rose has 2 more years left at 15 mil. However, the last year is a team option as well. So not as bad as you think. You know, if he stays healthy, he could help a team out for sure. King Ribby Salute says, yeah, D Rose is a Thibs guy. Absolutely. Yep. And on that note, you know, Ron says, you know, we might be in trouble. Thibs is coming back, right? Does he clamor on to D Rose and says, you know, D Rose, you know, no way, I'm shipping him out. You know, maybe he needs to stick around. That's my biggest fear, fam, as well. And of course, you know, to the whole point of this whole thing is to free up minutes, free up space for these young players that might be the next star for the New York Knicks. We'll never ever know if we never prioritize this thing, right? Like I said, Derrick Rose, 34 years of age. You know, what more can he be? What more can he do? You know, the man's done everything he possibly can for the New York Knicks. You know, and it's time to think about what's next for us and for what's next for D Rose, right? D Rose can lay it all out there, right? I would love nothing more than be watching D Rose right now in the playoffs, helping a team. You know, I'll be up on my feet cheering as well. And of course, he could still win 6th Man of the Year. You know, like White Falcon mentions, D Rose starting, Kemba will be 6th man. You know, these 2 veterans could fit, you know, on a team with a better timeline. Geraldine, Kemba is not done. Thibs didn't use him right. Yep. Kemba still has game. Geraldine, he still has game off the bench. You know, 15, 20-minute role. Keep those knees fresh, right? A lot of love from D Rose. You know, a lot of fans, you know, always, you know, think of D Rose fondly. And I like what Drew's got here. CT, I think Zach LaVine going to the Clippers is most likely the scenario. Yep. Zach LaVine wants LA, I feel, as well. And I will salute what's good. D Rose, Deuce, and 2 seconds for Dosunmu. And he backs up quick as well. So Derrick Rose and Deuce will be a tough thing to swallow to get part with Deuce, will. But 2 seconds as well. But I like Ao Dosunmu. You know, I think he's real nice, right? Maybe you do got to sell high and try to get that. And you have to know when it's time to move on. Like Ron says, man, absolutely. You have to know, right? 34 years old. And you just know little minor surgeries like the ankle one that he had, and then he had to do it all over again due to complications, right? That just hit home for me. You know, I just don't want to go through that all over again with D Rose. Now the positives, D Rose is a great mentor. So if the New York Knicks hang on to D Rose for half a season, maybe one more season, you know, that salary would be more stomachable by a team. And also, D Rose is an excellent locker room teammate. So that's okay. On that side of things, if they do keep D Rose, as long as he's not chewing up minutes for the veterans, but you just know that Tom Thibodeau can't resist that. Unfortunately, Tarek says D Rose going nowhere. They're not going to trade him for scraps, nor do it for the hell of it. Yeah, I could see what Tarek's saying as well happen. That's the biggest obstacle, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Thibodeau, Leon Rose, the loyalty, and the friendship, and of course maybe D Rose has a huge say in this, of course, as well. Maybe he doesn't want to go anywhere else but New York or Chicago as well. Chicago, I could see him signing off on that absolutely, because they're a playoff contender, and also they're his home team. So I just think D Rose, would either want to stay with the Knicks due to the family ties, Taj Gibson, Tom Thibodeau. He says it feels like a second home for him as well. But again, man, it's a minutes crunch. We've got to sell off these veterans for a reason. And this will tell me whether Leon Rose is the right guy for the job. Again, like I keep saying, you can't let sentiment get in your way of trying to build this thing for the future. This is a business, right? We're not trying to fall in love with players, fall in love with certain situations, right? You got to do what's right as a business. And like I said, Derrick Rose, $15 million. If we can get off of that money, and it frees up space and it frees up minutes, and it also could get D Rose to a place where he loves. JJ chimes in with Brunson dominated again tonight. He is impressive. Yep, we're going to chop this thing up later on as well as we get through all these veterans, and then it's open slather. No topic out of bounds tonight, fam. But yeah, there we have it. The 2-point guards, D Rose and Kemba Walker. If you guys had your say, would you want those two out of here as well? I know Tarek says it's not likely to happen, but you guys give me your thoughts. If you had the full control, would you have these guys off the roster next season? Absolutely, Derrick Rose and Kemba Walker. For me, I would. Emmanuel quickly shown me enough. This draft's coming up. Again, we've got more picks to come in the future. We have a second round pick this season as well, that we can pick up another young backup point guard that we can groom, for the future. And of course, D Rose isn't a guy that needs to build his trade value up either. We don't need to keep D Rose to the trade deadline. That's only risking further injury, ladies and gentlemen. If D Rose plays a few more games, he might get injured. So from now till trade deadline, he's not going to be a player that raises his stock. You know what I mean? Everybody knows what D Rose is right now, right? We all know who D Rose is, and the league knows who D Rose is, right? So look out for a draft night trade as well. Kemba Walker and D Rose, I put these guys at the top because they're two of the most likely to be gone. If any of these vets are gone on draft night, I could see both of them gone on draft night. And Ron says on the first thing smoking. Yep, absolutely. This is your captain, Ron Cleveland, speaking. And salute Tay. What's good? Okay, yep. So we've chopped those two gentlemen up as well. Things are getting spicy right up in this piece, ladies and gentlemen, as well. Now we're going to touch on probably the biggest veteran. We got to hit on it, and we may as well hit on it now, ladies and gentlemen. The elephant in the room as well. None other than Dallas native Julius Randle. Now, Julius Randle, what more can be said? We've chopped this thing up. Knicks community, Knicks streets, Knicks podcasts, Knicks fans worldwide as well witnessed what we witnessed 2 seasons ago, last season, and now this season as well. What kind of roller coaster has it been with Julius Randle? Now, the biggest thing for me is, I'm making this only about Julius's play first and foremost. Julius Randle, off court, whatever he does off court, and his family. He's got a lovely family. They love New York. I can see that. He's gone on record saying so many times Julius would love to stay in New York. For me, this is all just about fit. It's all just about basketball and dollars making sense for me. As a GM of this thing, Julius Randle, I feel like the time is now. The time is right, to part ways as well. we can't have any more, animosity, and we can't have any more of these distractions next season as well. Our timeline is far and away ahead with these young players, and to me, Julius Randle could be better served helping another team, a team that maybe played tonight as well, going deep in a playoff run. So, ladies and gentlemen, Tay with the super chat. Appreciate you, fam. What's good? What's good? CT, what did I miss? Were there any rumors, fam? Tay, appreciate it first and foremost and your support. Glad you can join us. And nothing that's came through recently, Tay. We're just addressing, the log jam with the veterans at the moment, fam, and also trying to find the best fit for these players, moving forward. Because I'm not just one of these, discussions about, let's just throw these guys away for nothing, or let's just try to move these guys on. It's about trying to find the right fit, as a business as well. So appreciate you again, Tay. Let's get it. And Ron says, I'm going to draft a small forward. If not, I'm starting Cam. Yep, definitely. I could see that with RJ back to the 2 spot. You draft Tari Eason, maybe, Ron. We'll chop that up more, but I love Tari Eason and his size as well, the size that he can give us. Even if they drafted Daniels, he's 6'8" right now as well. He could play in a long lineup as well. So yeah. With that said, Julius Randle, ladies and gents, Dallas to me is the number one option, out of any other team available. Now, Julius, it's going to be a lot tougher. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be tougher to move on from Julius in this current landscape on draft night. And there is a huge possibility that Julius Randle returns to the New York Knicks for opening night, at least, as well, for opening night, because these kind of deals don't come about easy. With that said, Dallas is the most likely for me. I could see that happening as early as any time with Dallas only, because Julius Randle lives in Dallas. He's from Dallas, lives in Dallas in the off season. We saw him, courtside watching Dallas's first game, first round of the playoffs as well. And Julius always balls out in Dallas. He was screaming this season, "This is my gym. This is my gym." Right? He was talking about that as well. So where there's smoke, there's fire. And Julius Randle feels comfortable in Dallas, right? It's a smaller market. The fans are a bit more forgiving. And I could see Julius Randle, agreeing first and foremost, as much as he might say he loves New York and he wants to be in New York, I could see him agreeing to a trade with Dallas. And Divine's chimed in exactly of the same mindset. Sign and trade. Yep, sign and trade, so that a win-win situation. And like Divine says, Knicks real talk. Julius Randle, the Knicks have had a lot of history dealing with the Dallas Mavericks as well. Obviously, the KP trade, a lot of ties there with Reggie Bullock, Trey Burke, Courtney Lee, Tim Hardaway Jr. The list goes on and on and on with the history behind the Dallas Mavericks and the New York Knicks. So what would a sign and trade look like? I've got to mention his name, Jalen Brunson. If the New York Knicks decide they offer Julius Randle to Dallas, I don't see Dallas, choosing Jalen Brunson over Julius Randle. I think Julius Randle obviously can help them a lot more at that position next to Luka, with Dwight Powell, Luka, and Julius Randle. Now, obviously, it can only happen if Jalen Brunson, unrestricted free agent, says, I want to go to New York. I want to go to New York. If Jalen Brunson decides to want to stay in Dallas, then that makes this trade a lot more challenging, and you've probably got to get into a 3-way trade, try to find some expiring salary for the Knicks to take back, and of course a lot of draft picks as well. Now, secondly, Portland Trailblazers, they have 2 first-round selections in this year's draft. Portland Trailblazers, Damian Lillard on a short timeline. They're trying to upgrade that thing and microwave that thing real quick. And to me, a Julius Randle move makes a lot of sense for Portland. So when you're trying to microwave it real quick, what better way to please Dame Lillard than to get him a solid veteran like Julius and a name player like Julius Randle that ain't going to really choose Portland in free agency as well. And then we've got the Lakers as well. They've got some players available: Kendrick Nunn, Taylor Horton Tucker, they've got on the block as well. So, could the LA Lakers throw in a tantalizing first round selection, in the future when LeBron James is long gone? Maybe the LA Lakers bottom out and they can give us an unprotected first round pick for a Julius Randle. Maybe we're going to take back some bad salary with that. And Washington Wizards, again, another tantalizing situation for Julius. I can see trying to play alongside Bradley Beal and next to KP, ironically, and the LA Clippers as well, ladies and gentlemen. Those are my top 5 situations for Julius Randle as well. My top 5 situations to find Julius Randle a home. Now, I'm leaning more towards he's going to come back on opening night, but I've been on record as saying I don't think this marriage is going to continue for much longer. So just because of a fit with the young players, a fit on the court, a lot can be made of his attitude and his distractions and his lack of intensity on the defensive end. For me, it's all about the fit. Slows our pace down. A lot of touches, ball dominant is Julius Randle. I love the ball in my point guard's hand as well. Being able to make quick decisions as well. So Julius Randle. We're going to continue to chop this thing up, but that's probably the most pressing thing this off season, right? What happens with Julius Randle? And ladies and gentlemen, a super chat come through with Parish Duggar. Salute, fam. What's good? Parish says, can't ruin our salary cap overpaying Mitch or RJ. Well, a lot to unpack with that. So Parish ain't on board with paying Mitch or RJ as well, or maybe paying RJ too much as well. Now, I think RJ, I'll start with that, Parish. I think the Knicks and RJ are on course to make an agreement. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the max. Chat fam, I don't think it's going to be 181. I think RJ's a reasonable guy. He's got great upbringing. He knows his situation. He knows he's the next heir to the throne. He wants to be here in New York. His New York roots, fam. And I think RJ Barrett and the Knicks will come to an agreement maybe around 160, 150, 160 as well. But I do think I'm on the mindset you got to give him his money. You got to give him his money. We need some stability up in here, right? We'll be a laughing stock around the league. I think if we create a bad situation with RJ Barrett, right, we need to lock that young man up. On the Mitchell Robinson front as well, wouldn't be mad if the Knicks brought Mitch back as well, but I do think there's a limit. There's a limit to Mitch, what I'm willing to go for, and that's 12 to 13 mil max for Mitch. And I think, and it's no knock on Mitch's game and what I think Mitch can be. I just think the salary cap situation is coming home to roost. We've got to pay RJ. I want to pay Cam. We need some flexibility up in here as well. So, but appreciate it again, Parish, for your thoughts with that situation. And I'm glad a lot of fans are thinking long term, in terms of salary cap moves and not just throwing money willy nilly. Right, it's got to be the right guys that we're going to give money to. Right. And the chat chimes in on that, on Parish's chat. Ron says RJ ain't worth 181. I agree. I would give him 125. Yep. And to Ron's point too, and everyone, I haven't really heard this discussed a lot, but why not just let RJ play out the season, right? We made the mistake of maxing Randle too soon, if I'm being honest, right? As a fan, not even a businessman, I learned a lesson with this Randle situation, right? Randle's season was an outlier, right? There's no way we should have paid him based on an outlier season. We should have made Julius Randle come back and do it all again, and then give him his bag, right? Would have had no problem. If Julius Randle was another all-star player, I would have had no issue giving him the bag. But, we fumbled the bag. We gave it out too soon. So with that said, with RJ, I'm good with just letting him play out the season. If he becomes an all-star next season, then all the better for the franchise, all the better for the organization. And then we have even more reason to pay RJ, right, if he's good as well. And like Jarvis says, what is good is we can wait and see, exactly, how he improves next season and then make the decision. We don't have to rush it. So, Jarvis on the same mindset, as always, wise up in here. Jarvis's long-time fandom, he's seen a lot of fumbled bags. And what's Keith got? Keith, I would give RJ and Fournier a contract. Ain't no way I'm paying him close to 100 mil, and he can't even shoot free throws. Okay, so he'd give RJ a Fournier contract. So that's around 17 mil. And ain't no way I'm paying him close to 100 mil because he can't shoot the free throws. Yeah, he made improvements, but shooting is something RJ needs to continue with. Wise, the wise one, can't undervalue Mitch either. If we lose Mitch, our defense becomes non-existent. Yeah, he is an anchor, that's for sure. And one proponent of paying Mitch first and foremost is absolutely the fact that he's young and he has upside. The New York Knicks haven't had many young players with upside for very, very long, and we have one under our own watch. We've groomed him, we've seen him grow. It'd be a damn shame to lose Mitch at all. Period. It'd be a damn shame to lose him for nothing. To that sense, we can't lose Mitchell Robinson for nothing, right? Speaking of that, we'll chop that up a bit more. But if we lose Mitch, if he decides to choose another team in unrestricted free agency, then we need to, get something for him. Call every single team in the league and say, hey, would you like Mitch? What can we do? And see if Mitch would like to go there. If they're willing to give him the bag. And Ron says that's exactly what I would do. Wait till next season. He has to be more efficient and hit those free throws. Yep, facts, right? Facts, Ron. So, but we know RJ's best ability is his availability too. We chop that up a lot. RJ's has been the Iron Man, right? The dude don't get injured, touch wood, until Tom Thibodeau overplays him. That's the only time that gentleman gets, injured. So I love RJ in terms of his frame. He's built, his sturdy stock, and RJ's a baller. But yeah, his biggest knock is his shooting, and he's made improvements with his handle. RJ can go left a lot more now. He can go right a lot more. Not as much going left, but he's bullied his way to the cup. He's finally getting calls as well. He's finally getting the calls. And Parrish chimes in again with another super chat. Salute, Parrish. Appreciate you. Randle is valuable if Thibs coaches him correctly. Well, yep, spitting some wisdom there, Parrish. Randle is valuable, absolutely. He's valuable when he's coached up correctly, and that is a damn shame for this season. In the fact that the way it transpired is that 90% we can blame Julius Randle for his play, but there's also some blame that needs to go around in terms of making him look worse as well. There were times when Julius was not able to keep his calm, wasn't able to keep calm and, lead the team, and he needed to be taken off the court. He needed to sit down, and I don't think Tom Thibodeau did that at times, that was needed, to your point, Parrish. Julius could have looked a lot better, if he was coached correctly, and also that's conducive to his trade value, ladies and gentlemen. Julius Randle, there's a lot of discussion about what kind of value Julius would have right now. But to Parrish's point, his value might not be so low if we had, hid some of his weaknesses, right? The whole league knows of the malcontent and the issues that happen, and we kind of, created that environment where we let things happen, losing his temper with the assistant coach, going back and forth with the thumbs down, hiding from the press conferences and copping fines, organization eating his fines. And Ron says, if we lose Mitch, our interior D will suffer, and we know our perimeter D is suspect. Yeah, exactly, Ron. So yeah, Ron wants to keep Mitch around. What kind of number would you throw out there, guys? Ladies and gents, Mitchell Robinson, like what I said, 12 to 13 mil. I think that's a fair deal. Mitchell Robinson, ever since he's come into the league, he's had 6 agents. He's been trying to get paid. That original agent did the worst thing by him, and getting him to sign a 4-year deal for pennies on a dollar. Right, Mitch would have been paid by now if without that situation. But like I said, Julius Randle, we've chopped that up. Dallas is the likely scenario if Julius ever finds himself off the Knicks. Right, you've got to look at that situation with Jalen Brunson and a sign and trade. Also with Portland as well. I think both sides would benefit. And like I said, I'm not just throwing these veterans anywhere. I'm really given thought as to where, these other where these players can make an impact on other teams, and will those other teams be receptive? Portland's at a situation where they're missing playoffs. They've moved on from CJ. They've still got Dame. Julius Randle's still a nice 27 years old. So even when Dame Dollar might leave in maybe 3 years' time, Julius Randle will only be 30 years old. So he could carry the mantle out there in Rip City as well. And of course, the Lakers, they're always going to be out there, the Washington and the Clippers as well. So we've chopped up Kemba, we've chopped up D Rose, we've chopped up Randle. Now, the polarizing figure, one Alec Burks, another player misused by the Knicks organization this year. I thought his trade value was hurt. I think before the start of the season, I said to myself, man, there's absolutely a scenario where Alec Burks can get us a first-round pick at the trade deadline for some desperate contender. But what happened? His cost was so low that we had to attach an asset to get out of Alec Burks. We would have had to touch Cam Reddish to send Alec Burks to LA. And that's a sad situation. I blame the organization for that by playing Alec Burks in the wrong position. Alec Burks is that scoring wing, spark plug off the bench, 6-man candidate, looks nice off the bench, comes in like a Terrence Ross and can light you up. He did it for Philly. He did it for Golden State. He did it for us last season. And God only knows why we took him out of that role, right? And we didn't prioritize the point guards that we had. Now, with that said, Alec Burks, probably out of all these veterans we're selling off today, it would be the one that I'd be most okay with keeping, at least because I know by the next trade deadline or another season gone, we'll probably find a better home for Alec Burks. But some suggestions I've got here is Utah. He's played with Utah. There's familiarity. They might be struggling to try to keep things intact there and need a good locker room guy. Of course, if Utah blow things up, then it's not really likely a scenario. But if they keep with some of these vets, then Alec Burks might be a nice fit with Utah in that package. The LA Lakers, I could see another nice fit out there with the Clippers and the Lakers. Like I said, I think teams would be willing to give a first-round selection at the trade deadline if Alec Burks looks like he's balling out. It looks like he's playing well. But Alec Burks, was forced to play the point. He was shoved, square peg in a round hole, and it didn't look nice. And that hurt his value. And I've got Charlotte out there as well. Maybe in a package for them to take Kemba Walker as well. And again, I'm just trying to get off salary. So I'm just trying to get off salary and to clear the runway. And the biggest reason I got to get rid of Alec Burks is because of our young wings. Let's go through them all. We've got RJ that we're ready to pay. We've got Quentin Grimes, who's on the come up. We gave a first-round pick away for Cam Reddish. He needs to play. We've got Evan Fournier that's earning 18, 19 mil. That's 4 reasons to move on from Alec Burks. And I'll give you a 5th reason to move on from Alec Burks. We might draft another wing, ladies and gentlemen. We might draft another wing. So that's 5 players that I would want to play ahead of Alec Burks as well. So with that said, we need to find Alec Burks another home. It's disappointing if we don't get decent value back for him, because I thought he could have got something. And I salute Ajay. Welcome. Burks was seriously misused. It is insane that Thibs gets to keep his role. He really did a terrible job managing the roster. Yep, facts, right? And Green Goblin, salute as well. Up in here, salute everyone. And Alec Burks, like I said, the fact that he played point, not only did it hurt him, it hurt his trade value, it hurt the growth of Emmanuel Quickley, the growth of Deuce McBride. Those guys could have got valuable burn in the last 3 months of the season and could be going into the next season looking completely different. Could have been looking like way more confident and all of that good stuff as well. And that just infuriated me at the trade deadline, as was confirmed by many beat writers. The New York Knicks were the most closest to making a deal. It was for Alec Burks and Cam Reddish to go to LA to get out of Nerlens Noel's contract, and we would have had to take back Goran Dragic from Toronto as well. That was a disgusting trade, and I'm glad the New York Knicks pulled out. I'm glad they pulled out at the 11th hour as well. So we go into the next season with Alec Burks still on the roster. The best thing is Alec is an expiring deal as well. So we've got to mention that. Alec Burks only has 1 more year left on his deal. This in its expiring deal. So the organization didn't hamstring themselves, in that way, but by giving him the right contract. However, Alec Burks was misused by the coach as well. And that's probably one of the reasons I can guess why Worldwide West went to James Dolan and Leon and said, we may need to make a coaching change because, Thibs just ain't utilizing the personnel enough as well. So yeah, that's Alec Burks. We're moving on from a lot of these veterans, and the reason I want to move on from Alec Burks is, like I said, the four other wings we currently have, and maybe a fifth wing that we might bring in. I say that because at the 11th spot, we'll chop the draft up more, but at the 11th spot, the most enticing prospects that we can get at that spot in terms of value are wings. Dyson Daniels, Tari Eason, Benedict Mathurin, Malachi Branham, Johnny Davis. The list goes on and on and on and on as well. So, dollars got to make sense, and we got to move on from Alec Burks as well. And of course, last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, another veteran we got to get out from is Nerlens Noel. And I've got anywhere, just send him anywhere that's possible. Expiring money, which is great. Like I said, first and foremost, I'll say Nerlens Noel's not earning anything after next season with the New York Knicks. So, what serendipity in terms of, a decision being made with Mitch, and then the fact that we paid Nerlens Noel that kind of money that a lot of people would have preferred to give to Mitch this offseason as well. And what kind of example did it set for Mitch, seeing his counterpart, Nerlens Noel, get the bag as well? We fell into that trap. Nerlens Noel was healthy last season, for the most part. However, the trend of his career came home to roost and killed the New York Knicks. Nerlens couldn't even contribute this season. And we know what kind of impact Nerlens could have when he stays healthy. He's one of the best rim protectors in the league. And maybe we got to hope one team bites on that. I can't even think of a team that comes to mind that sticks out right now. Can you guys let me know what you think, a likely home for Nerlens Noel might be? To be honest, I'll say this, probably the most likely scenario is that we head into the season with Nerlens, and at the trade deadline, he's that $11 million expiring deal that a team may love. I think that's the most likely scenario. So unfortunately, Nerlens' best value is going to be his expiring contract, not his ability to play basketball, which is sad. In the words of man, your best ability is your availability. And Nerlens Noel failed this season to stay on the court as well. But it happened. It is what it is. I'm not mad at it, because the fact that we ended up in the lottery, if Nerlens Noel helped us win 3 more games, what would have been the point of that? We would have just been looking at a worse pick. So Nerlens Noel, get him the heck out of here, and get him on the next thing smoking. Let's get him healthy. Let's see what he can look like, and try to find him in home on draft night, in a bigger package. There's no doubt they may have to part ways with an asset to get rid of Nerlens. I'm okay with that, provided it's only a second round pick as well. If it's a couple second round picks and we need to clear up some space, let's do it. But truth be told, we're not really on the clock with Nerlens because he's expiring. And like I said, our timeline's way ahead in the future. So let's just see what it is. He could rot on the bench for half a season, and then he goes at the deadline as well. Now, last of the veterans making a ton of money from France, Evan Fournier as well. So a couple of scenarios I got for Evan Fournier, and I think he's the most likely of the veterans to stick this whole season. Out of the 5 vets we've chopped up, I could see Evan Fournier. Out of the 6 vets we've chopped up, I could see Fournier staying for the whole season. Some scenarios I could see is potentially a sign and trade with Chicago, pie in the sky stuff. But if Zach LaVine explores, his unrestricted free agency and he has New York on his radar, then Evan Fournier makes sense for Chicago, I think, so that they don't lose Levine for nothing. Plays similar position, and he can slot right in with Chicago and help maybe keep them in the playoffs together with Vucevic and Lonzo and DeRozan up in that piece. And the other thing is I could see the Knicks saving the trade for Fournier in a bigger trade as well, a Donovan Mitchell, something else, keeping Fournier, like I said, for the whole season, and then seeing what opportunities and all that shakes out as well. So yeah, that those are my thoughts. Evan Fournier, Kemba Walker, Derrick Rose, Alec Burks, and Julius Randle, ladies and gentlemen. We're selling off these veterans now. One of the biggest positives, again, with selling Evan Fournier and having him away from would be clearing up minutes for the logjam in the wings. Quentin Grimes stands out the most, and also Cam Reddish. Those two, Quentin Grimes and Cam Reddish, are the wings we could try for the future, and see that. And Ajay's asking a very logical question. Why would Chicago trade Levine for Fournier? Let me explain, Ajay. So Zach Levine's an unrestricted free agent. So what I mean is it'd only be in a sign and trade. If Zach Levine tells Chicago I'm leaving, only if he tells them I'm leaving and I'm going to New York, then Chicago may want to get a piece back and not lose Levine for nothing, basically, as well. But that's only if Levine decides to leave Chicago. So Levine is an unrestricted free agent and might just up and walk and leave Chicago for nothing as well. So, and the fact that he fits a similar position, that's the only reason I got that there as well. And Johnny Davis, what's good, fam? Salute. Unfortunately, it seems we're going to have to send picks with most of these players, except for Mitch and Randall, is an acquired taste. I wouldn't say all of them, Johnny. Like I said, I think Kemba would be a buyout, possibly. I'd be okay with buying out Kemba. I think Alec Burks, we wouldn't have to attach an asset. Fournier, maybe in a bigger deal, but also D Rose, I don't think would have to package an asset either. So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the front office saved themselves basically by accident by not giving too many years with this team, with these contracts. If we go through the list, Kemba Walker's expiring after this year. Alec Burks is expiring after this year. So they gave those two guys only 2-year deals. Nerlens Noel's expiring as well. As much as he stinks and we might not get any value back, why not just let him rot on the bench and then expire at the deadline? And then it might become an asset as well. Appreciate it. What's good? Fix them, call it. What's good? Don't salaries have to match? I think in a sign and trade, scenario, Chicago would be able to absorb, Fournier, if that's what you're referring to. I think they would still be able to absorb him as well. But I think the salaries are similar enough. Maybe the Knicks do package a couple of other smaller salaries as well. And LRY says these expiring deals going to go a long way soon. Yep. And Ron agrees. Yep. It's lucky at the end of the day. Like I said, Kemba, Nerlens, and Alec Burks. It's lucky that those guys don't have any more years. It's the D Rose that does have another extra year, and also Evan Fournier as well. But Evan Fournier's play, like Evan Fournier's not a liability at the moment. Broke the franchise record in shooting. He's not a great defensive player. He's a liability defensively, but Evan Fournier can produce on the court. So, as his contract continues to the years get ticked off, a lot of teams, would be open to a Fournier, right? It ain't an albatross, basically. It ain't an albatross. And White Falcon, it's dumb not to pay a person like RJ Max. That man is a baller, and y'all treating him like a SpongeBob popsicle ice bubble gum as well. So, White Falcon wants RJ the bag as well, keeping him happy in New York. Ron says it's not just that we can't. RJ ain't a 181 player right now. We would be the laughing stock of the league. Yep. again, you got to be. It's got to be business. It's got to make sense. Dollars got to make sense as well. And if you ain't convinced, bring him back for a year. Let him show it to us again. Let him prove it. You know what I mean? Like I said, problems get created when you make a knee jerk move when you don't need to. Give RJ a full summer with Drew Hanlon, full summer in the gyms working out, putting in those reps, and let Star J come back with a better handle, a better shot, clearer mind, ready to lead this team. He knows now the writing's on the wall with some of these other veterans, right? He knows, and he's getting close to Quickly and Obi and the bond that those guys are creating. He knows that the New York Knicks' future is next, basically, and he's part of that. So let RJ go into the off season and see what he can improve on. The New York Knicks meeting, in the exit meeting, they might just say, hey, work on these things, and then come back and show us, and then there'll be a big bag waiting for you at the end of it as well. And a la CTD Rose 3-year team option, you can come off at the deadline too. Yep, facts, a la. Appreciate that. Yeah, you got that on lock as well. Team option for D Rose, which is good. Yep, exactly right. So while we even have him under contract, there might be some value there at the deadline too. So out of the 6 vets we chopped up, I could rock with D Rose to the deadline, and I could rock with Alec Burks to the deadline, and Nerlens to the deadline because they're expiring. Where I want to see is obviously Kemba Walker. I'd rather him off the roster ASAP, and I think that's going to happen. And I'd rather Julius as well if we can get that kind of value back. But it's also likely Julius can come back to the deadline as well. Come back opening night. So Parrish is 7 for 27. You got to improve mentally in game situations. There's no excuse for shooting 7 for 27 and miss 7 free throws as well. Look, I think we forget too, ladies and gents, and I know we have the highest expectations on all our guys, as diehard fans, but RJ is still 21 years old, and like I chopped up with Bill Peto in the interview, he brought up the point that I didn't even realize. He could be a senior in Duke, basically. So, RJ Barrett could still be in college. Let's not forget he came out pretty early as well. Now, I know that ain't always an excuse. We're looking for a guy to be the franchise guy. He got to show us. Absolutely, got to show us soon. But, let's just give RJ another summer to work out with these guys, right? Let's not forget the Knicks had the worst development staff before last season as well. Now we finally got some guys ready to rock, in a proper environment. And on that note, while we're chopping up RJ, he spoke on the podcast with JJ. Let's not leave that out. He spoke about his like for Thibs. I don't know if he's just going on record and supporting his coach, but RJ Barrett is a big believer and likes Tom Thibodeau, so that could be a big part of this thing. Moving forward, he likes the way he coaches him. And Kaiser says RJ has to be extended because of the Randle contract. After overpaying Randle, we can't turn around and tell the best player we've drafted in years that we aren't giving him the contract. Well, yeah, you're right, Kaiser. You can't be loyal to one dude and not to the other. You kind of set a precedence, which I think the organization does, to show that they're going to take care of people, right? Take care of our own. And I'll quickly touch on Mitch too, because my thoughts are changing on that. I first thought that the Knicks are most likely not going to offer Mitch the full money, but I'm starting to believe that the New York Knicks may offer Mitch the money now as well, and show their own, in-house that we support you and we believe in you as well, because that can set a precedence too. And Illmatics, what's good? Salute. Yeah, Mitchell Robinson, unrestricted free agency. That's part of the tough situations that are going to have to be made in juggling this salary, right? And I mentioned this on the last show. Do you think James Dolan would want to go into the luxury tax next season if we're not a playoff team? That's what's going to happen. If we pay RJ, we've got Julius's salary still potentially, paying Cam, paying Mitch, all of these other, salaries as well. Do you really think that James Dolan would want to go into luxury tax for a team that ain't even close to contending? I just don't know. I know he's never been shy to write the checks, But at the end of the day, Leon Rose is a businessman as well. He was from the agent world, so he knows value. He should know value. And Brock Aller up in here as well. And Key says RJ is the best player we've ever drafted. When did that happen? That's what I'm talking about, overrating as well. Yep. So Keith wants to be a bit more prudent with paying RJ as well. Let him show us. Let him show us the improvement. And Allah says, "Oh, RJ, yeah, I agree, but I can see it in him. In my opinion, he's got it in him. He gets it. Yeah, absolutely, he gets it. He's healthy. He's shown improvement. His game may not be where some fans want it to be at, but you can't say RJ hasn't improved every year. So the most important thing for a young player, he's on trajectory. He's on an incline, not a decline, as well. He's got the pedigree too. He's got the support of the family with his father in being a basketball head. His godfather in Steve Nash. He's got Drew Hanlon. There are areas that he needs to improve, right? And his game may never be what some fans hope it'll be too. His biggest knock is shot creation. His ability to find a bucket when he needs it without just bullying his way to the cup as well. So yeah, there are a lot of things that RJ needs to continue to grow in. Absolutely right. And also you got to realize this is a brand new NBA in this day and age, fam. We see bona fide role players get paid, right? Bona fide role players getting paid. So RJ Barrett, when we see these numbers, I know it looks kind of frightening, but just keep that in mind that the rest of the league are paying role players. Davers Bertans got paid straight the bag as well. And like Tarek says, Robinson is worth it. He is. I'm not the biggest fan of Mitch's game, but I've always said straight from day one, he's earned the contract. He's, in terms of this NBA and what he can do, he's earned that money. Now, whether or not the Knicks pay him that or not, I know some other team's going to pay him because that's not an expensive contract. 14, 15 mil, for a young team under the cap like Detroit, Charlotte, OKC, New Orleans, there's going to be heaps of teams that would pay Mitch the bag as well. And JJ asked, where was the improvement from RJ this year? I would say, first and foremost, RJ, obviously he was inefficient, but I think getting to the cup, getting fouled, RJ showed the most improvement in terms of getting, taking contact as well. That didn't help, obviously, with his finishing as well. But I do believe he grew in terms of also being a leader as well, being a leader and working through that situation with Julius. He showed some improvement in his free throw shooting as well. It's still not where it needs to be, but I still feel like his free throw shooting's gotten better from his rookie season. His rookie season had me worried. Kaiser says, you think the Knicks optics would have looked bad not giving Julius an extension? Don't give RJ an extension as a 21-year-old, 20-point per game player. That's ascending. That's an easier way to look bad. Yep. Yeah, if you think the Knicks optics have looked bad not giving Randle an extension, don't give RJ Barrett an extension. And when he's ascending, that's the easy way to look bad as well. Yep, from around the league. And this season, you had a lot of stars around the league pay their respect to RJ and the Knicks. We saw Miami Heat talk about RJ as the future of the Knicks. You can't ignore that. Other players and other teams see these things, right? They see it throughout the game. When RJ waved off Julius and he grew as a player and he took it upon himself to help this franchise. Now, I'd love to see RJ grow in terms of being a facilitator. Not get that tunnel vision as well. His handle and his shooting. He just needs to work on that all day, every day. The mid-range pull-up and the three-point pull-up as well. And, Fixin' McCall, it says Thibs won't let RJ outshine Julius as well. That is another issue by keeping Julius. With that said, Julius, obviously, if the salary, there's politics. If Julius is still on the team, he still commands a certain amount of touches and he still commands a certain role as well. And we didn't even need to mention this, but Julius, is hindering Obi Toppin. The whole world knows that situation. Just Julius's presence, I'm saying, as well is limiting minutes for Obi to take his next leap as well. So yeah, we've chopped up these veterans, the good, the bad, the ugly. We'll continue to chop this thing up, ladies and gents. Let's get into it. We've got the draft lottery as part of the good, less than 2 weeks away as well. We've got a draft show coming up, and we're going to chop up all the prospects. I'm going to rank them in 3 tiers in the top 4, top 5. If the Knicks get lucky, who do they target? If the Knicks stay where they're at, roughly from 5, 6 down to 11, I'll go through all the prospects that I like there. And of course, the 3rd tier, I'll talk about trading down scenarios and where the Knicks could get great value if they do decide to trade down. If there is a player that they really like through a workout or through scouting, there is a lot of targets the Knicks can target if they decide to not pick at 11, if they stay where they're at and they can move down. Trust me, there's a lot of picks we can flirt with. Yeah, and in terms of trades, OKC have 3 picks in the first round. The San Antonio Spurs have the 20th selection and the 25th selection. So that's just a preview of what I'm going to talk about in the next show, about trying to wheel and deal with some of these other teams, and also give you my thoughts on all these prospects, because it's very wing heavy. This draft, there's a lot of wings around 6 to 20. Yeah, some of them a lot more raw, some of them with a lot more upside, and some of them with a lower floor, higher ceiling. And we're going to chop all of that up. But yeah, give us your thoughts in terms of who's standing out for you. And Parish with the $2 super chat, up in the air strong, salute, appreciate you. If you like RJ, then don't curse him with near max money. So yeah, what Parish is saying is if we like RJ and we feel like we're going to pay him the bag with near max, then he feels like that's going to hinder him. It's going to put that burden on him right now. And the New York Knicks fan base may turn on him for what Parish is saying. And I appreciate your thoughts on that situation. There's certainly going to be a lot more burden to carry, Parish, on RJ. I don't feel like it's going to be solely the money attached to his name. I just think, the hopes of the fan base and the future, the future success of this team, right? A lot of that rides on RJ's growth, in terms of how soon can we get to the promised land, right? Yeah, Knicks fans don't want to look too far ahead. RJ Barrett's only 21, so hopefully we see a championship in his career life, his career span. So I don't want to look beyond RJ's career at this point, nor do any other fans. So with that said, we have the next about 10 years, 10, 13, 15 years of RJ's career in hopes of trying to pair a winning team with RJ as well. And his growth is going to play a huge part with that. Allah says RJ trying to work out with this dude, with D-Roy, with DeRose. Yeah, he's trying to work out with DeRose. Facts, Allah. Well, yep, he's guy growing up, in Canada as well. And I like that. I like that he said that, and I like that he's trying to get with some dudes to work out. Remember, in life you never stop learning, and you got to appreciate people where they're at and pick their brain. Is my advice to anyone out there striving to be somebody. Pick somebody who's successful at what they do and pick their brain. Find out what they did. How did they get there? What can they share? All of those good things, the challenges, all of that good stuff. And, DeRozan's his game's aged pretty well, right? He ain't the most athletic guy, and his game's still effective in the league. The mid-range assassin, one of the best players out of timeouts, out of bounds plays, right? When you need a bucket with the buzzer, I think DeRozan had one of the most buzzer beaters seasons this season. And Keith says, I never said I wouldn't extend RJ. All I'm saying is I don't give him the max as well. Yep, facts, Keith. I can understand that and agree. And like I said, I prefer to bring RJ back. I don't think he's going to take that as a slight. Just say, hey, your future is in your hands. That's why we're not maxing you out right now, or we're not paying you right now. If you're going to be worth a max after the end of next season, then show us you're going to be worth a max and we'll pay you. And I think RJ can get down with that. You're putting the players' success in their hands, like we say, when we're in our jobs, if you perform well, you get paid well. And it's the same in this profession, right? RJ Barrett, we all know his weaknesses. If he comes back and looks like another different player, that's going to be good. And Bren, salute. With Benny Mathurin has got some serious athleticism. Worried he may get in RJ's way. So I'd take Jalen Duren if Mitch leaves. Well, appreciate those thoughts on that. And I'm loving the deep dive into this draft, the thoughts, because this draft has some of the most parity out of any draft in my memory as a fan, 30-year basketball NBA fan. This draft has some of the most parity in terms of prospects from 6 down to 25, 30 even. There's going to be some untapped gems. Listen to my words. Untapped gems in this draft that we're going to see, hey, man, who got that guy at pick 28? Damn, who got that guy at pick 42? Damn, who got that guy at pick 13? There's going to be a lot of that in the next few years from this draft. Now, it ain't star-laden. It ain't top-heavy. Having said that, this will probably be the year the Knicks get lucky and move up. But like I said, I don't want to trade the pick in this draft. I want to keep this pick and I want to make the selection because I'm pivoting to that timeline now. We're on the youth. Players that are around RJ, quickly, Obi's timeline, Deuce, Grimes, Cam Reddish. Let these guys, they grow together and they bond a lot more as well. It's whenever you sprinkle in a little bit too many vets and we're not winning is when disgruntledness happens, right? I don't know if Alec Burks and his agent would want him to go into another season, let alone if Thibs wanted him to go into another scenario where he's forced to run the point. Like, I don't know if he would want that himself, right? We don't even know. Maybe Nerlens Noel blames the front office or the medical staff for not being able to keep him healthy. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just wants a different home, and it's not working out. Maybe he wants to get up out of here. We know Kemba wants to get up out of here for sure. That's one thing I can say for sure, that we're going to move on from that timeline. And back to Julius Randle, I said he will probably come to the season opening night, but I don't think the marriage is going to be long term. I think maybe deadline, maybe the rest of this season. I don't see it lasting beyond that. It's just the elephant in the room that the front office has too many decisions to make with a young player in Toppin. Even Cam Reddish could play some at the 4. Tari Eason, again, I like at pick 11, which we're going to chop up more in the next show. But yeah, there are some combo wing forwards as well. And Amada San, salute. Signing RJ now only makes sense if it's 25 to 27. Makes no sense to max him early when he will be a restricted free agent next season. If he plays well, we can match any offer. Yep, that's spitting facts. Exactly what Armada said. Right. You sign him early if we're getting a discount, and you wait, and then if he earns what he's worth, then we pay him what he's worth, because it's only a good thing. Paying him what he's worth ain't a bad thing if he's worth it. And if he comes out and makes an all-star team, or he barely misses out on an all-star berth, then that's nice for the New York Knicks. We often say, what is it, the 3rd year or the 4th year is when the player really pops. Unfortunately, RJ, in his 3rd year didn't completely pop, but maybe the 4th year is a year that he really takes another leap, another step. And Sharp Powers, it's about Randle game. The ball sticks with him, and at times he makes bad decisions with Obi, and the ball moves, and with the minutes he can be 18, 7, and 5. Yep. I think that's the biggest decision the front office is thinking right now and got to make in terms of exploring deals for Randle too. Fam, with Julius Randle, it ain't about him not being able to produce. It ain't about Julius not being a good basketballer. He can play. To me, it's always just about fit. Julius is going to be 27. He's reaching the peak of his career, and he'll want to start to win. He'll want to start to win. I don't see this Knicks team, maybe being barely 500, around 500 for the next few years, unless we get a bona fide stud in the draft or RJ becomes a stud. To that magnitude, I don't think the Knicks are going to be a winning franchise straight away. And I think the best fit is to find Julius a place where he could fit in better. I think Dallas is the prime destination as well. we could look at a sign and trade with that. And of course, Jalen Brunson bounced back tonight, balled out as well. And I have said this in the last few shows. If you missed it, I'd be okay signing a veteran if it's a younger kind of veteran, in the middle of their career, 24, 25, 26 kind of guys as well. Donovan Mitchell or a Jalen Brunson. I don't believe that messes up the timeline as well. Guys over 27, 28 is where it gets a little bit dicey. Well, and like Bren says, yep, I'd just match 100. Facts, right? You guys are up in here strong, gotten this thing buzzing. Appreciate you all. And like Tarek, always the voice of reason. We need to take our time, right? Yep. No one's rushing us. Our own worst enemy is ourselves right now. Like I said, look at OKC's mantra. Look at Memphis's mantra. They weren't bullied or forced by anybody. They weren't, pushed against the clock by a veteran saying, please get me to someone who can help me win. We don't have anyone on that roster right now, right? We can just slow cook this thing. And back to the point spot, I could rock with Emmanuel quickly starting the opening night and give him one full season, right? Give him one full season, evaluate him as a point guard. If it doesn't look right, then I wouldn't hesitate to try something else. But you never know if you don't give that player that shine. Now we see Tyrese Maxey absolutely balling out. And Sherwin M chimes in, salute. Obi 18, 7, and 5 with no D is a losing recipe. Yep, so he's not with Obi. He's on the Randle support as well. And but he's big on Cam Reddish as well. I'm big on Cam Reddish in terms of another guy that I would give 1 year to. And exactly what we're saying with RJ, we're going to do with Cam. Right? We're not going to pay Cam straight away. We know that for a fact. Cam Reddish is going to come up in here and he's going to have to earn his money. He's going to have to come in and, if Thibs is here, I don't really envy the situation for him. The writing might be on the wall, but the front office needs to step in. Like we've said, they need to step in and tell Tom Thibodeau, if he is part of their future plans, play Cam Reddish. Because Cam Reddish would have had a situation this season with his agent, and they would have talked about it and said, "Hey, man, we're due for a contract soon. This situation ain't nice. I don't want to be here, maybe as well." And we know Cam Reddish was very close to being on a plane to LA, right? That trade was close. The Knicks backed away, or maybe other teams also pulled out. But Cam Reddish might have really liked that situation and got drawn to the fact, hey, LA really want me. LeBron wants to play next to me as well. Do you really think he's going to be happy riding the pine in New York with Thibs here for another year in a contract year if LA's calling him? We're ready to offer minutes as well. So that's another elephant in the room, ladies and gents, with Cam Reddish and the fact that, putting myself in his shoes, he wants to make money. He wants to play well. He wants to play a lot this season and he wants to earn that contract. And can he do that in New York? That's going to be very, very interesting as well. Again, I wouldn't be mad if he was our starting small forward either as well, because I'm ready to use this season to experiment, use this season to see who plays well, who pops, who earns, their keep for the future, basically. It's like go win your spot, go win your future with New York this season, something we haven't done for so long. We've held people back, just trying to get wins and losses. And D Cool, what's good? Salute, what's good up in here? Salute everyone. And Joseph, list of past 2 years, rookie max extension, Spider, Tatum, Bam, Fox, Luka, Trey, and SGA all had resumes to prove the max. And no way RJ gets the max. We will look incompetent. Well, yeah, there's certainly a lot of sample size like Joseph put out there. Appreciate you for that and putting out all the examples. We know James Dolan, sometimes it's a bit of an outlier. His pockets are deep and his loyalty goes deep too. Remember, he just wanted to pay Stoudemire. He didn't want to amnesty Stoudemire when that was the obvious move. Instead, he amnestied, he picked up Billups's option and then he amnestied Chauncey Billups as well. And then he obviously wanted to pay Carmelo Anthony the full bag as well. So James Dolan could be the outlier. He may want to show his loyalty to Star J. But with Leon at the helm, I'm more leaning towards the fact that Leon knows business sense too. Leon knows what's up, and Leon Rose knows, who's worth what. Basically, I mean, the guy's been an agent since he was probably an adult, and he knows what contracts to give out. And Illmatic says we haven't been in this position with young talent in forever. We have to let it rock out. Man, that's too good not to read again. Salute for that. We haven't been in this position with young talent in forever. We have to let it rock out. So, yeah, just that the last part. Regardless if we haven't had this young talent for a long time, we do now, and we have to let it rock out because we need to see again who's going to pop. Emmanuel Quickley could be that starting point, and we just don't know. Now, I'm not 100% sold on Quickley. I will say that, there's certainly flaws in his game. He's not a true point guard at this point, but he can certainly play that role. I think him next to Jaden Ivey or him next to Dyson Daniels could be a nice combo backcourt. A mixture of guys that can both score and shoot and score and defend with length. So I like Quickley's versatility in terms of being able to be a solid defender and a scorer as well. It's the playmaking that's Emmanuel Quickley's swing skill, Emmanuel Quickley's court vision and his playmaking, because he's proven that he can do other things. He's proven that. But like to Ill's point, looks like a lot of the fan base is more patient than they've given credit for as well, right? Knick fans for clicks. Everyone tries to, slander us online. But at the end of the day, we celebrate when we win, because we haven't had success in a while. There's nothing wrong with that. And Keith says Randle is the third option. His contract fits what he is. So why would we trade him for another 3 guy whose contract will be worse? Well, so yeah, with Julius, we've got to be careful with what we do with that situation, right? We've got to be careful with that. And in terms of which guy you're referring to Brunson. Yeah, with that said, Julius going home to Dallas, we do need to take back something. I'll be careful with what veteran we're possibly getting back as well, like you said. But the fact with Julius has 5 more years, his contract hasn't even started. His extension starts this season coming up. So we're stuck with 5 more years if Julius's play or his fit isn't the best for this team. Either way, they need to make a decision with him or Obi. So whichever argument you want to make, right? We can't disagree with the fact that one of them needs to go. Absolutely. Kaiser, the best thing that could happen to the Knicks is winning the lottery and drafting Jabari Smith. Yep. One of the top premier talents in this draft, like Kaiser says, and the New York Knicks are interested in Jabari Smith. Mark Berman spoke on that. The Knicks obviously are going to be looking at every player if they get into the top 4. But Jabari Smith, another power forward, rugged player with defensive prowess, scoring ability, he's going to be a star in the league. I can see that. And he also says trading Randle for assets would be a big step in the right direction. It's just got to also be the right assets too. We can't just offload Julius for nothing. Again, that'd be bad business. Julius Randle is worth something. He has value on in the league for us and for other teams. Right? He was 1 year removed from an All-Star, and I think Julius can get back to being a better player than what he's shown as well. I think he was poorly coached, but I do think that he could have a lot of value on many teams as well, and also, with the New York Knicks, even if he's helping us move into the right direction, he can't take minutes away from Obi Toppin. Yeah, and we need to make a decision with that. And slow, steady, smart, no quick fixes. Like Tarek says, no quick fixes. And I want to ask you, Tarek, and also the chat, in terms of that, what's your biggest worry against what you want the Knicks to do? So what do you fear the most in terms of quick, short-sighted moves? Is it the fact that Tom Thibodeau is going to be here or still here? Do you think Worldwide West's purpose to here is to still be that star whisperer with CAA? His mission what he was brought in to do is his connections, right? You don't need connections if you're building through the youth, do you? So what is Worldwide Wesley's purpose here? Is that a fear as well to you? James Dolan, he wants to continue to make money and continue to make the playoffs. Keep this thing churning, keep the cycle, keep the wheel turning. Is James Dolan still a fear for you? In terms, I could see all of these things as an issue. To me, Leon Rose's inexperience is a fear for me. Potentially that he cannot, step in and correct some of some errors or correct some of the connections that he brought in. With Thibs, with Randle signing him the max. Sometimes not willing to admit when a player isn't performing, or when he made a mistake. Kemba Walker was brought in when he was taken out of the rotation. Maybe he was given his blessing. Leon gave Thibs his blessing, but maybe Thibs brought him back into the rotation and Leon signed off on it. Those kind of moves is what I'm talking about, right? Not being able to correct your errors, keep flip-flopping. Basically, you need a strong leader up in this thing, leading this thing, and the inexperience of Leon Rose does worry me. And Illmatic says there's no one out there that will be available to us that is worth sacrificing the kids or the picks. Well, absolutely right. Yep. And you really think OKC Thunder are thinking the same thing too, right? They're not ready to derail what they've got going. They've got all the picks in the world. They can just keep recycling that thing until they find that generational talent in the draft, just like Cleveland found with Evan Mobley, just like Cleveland found. And Keith's made the decision buy Obi as well, not sold on Obi. And Sherwin, Obi and Randle is not on the same planet as well. So I can't wait to see this continue and we can further chop this up. You guys have the strong opinions, which I respect, but I got to disagree with those. I think Randle's still a great player. He can help. I'm not trying to say he's no scrub. And certainly Obi is still coming up. I'm not trying to say he's a finished product either. So what I'm trying to say is our winning, I'm not trying to be married to no player. Our winning timeline is not on Randle's timeline for me. So we got to see what Obi can do. We got to see what he can be. You drafted him as well. Leon Rose drafted him. So that's another thing. He's got to correct his mistakes. And Tarek, yep. Facts. And Bren, pick 11. There isn't as much pressure on New York draft pick in an optimist view. Yeah, pick 11. Yeah, spot on with that, Bren, too. You're not sort of not in terms of high lottery, the pressure of that player panning out, right? You're on point with that. That player can come in and can surprise or maybe play behind someone. Like I said, if let's say Obi is the power forward, I could see Tari Eason coming in nicely and just being that spot backup 3-4 guy for 25 minutes a night, 23 minutes a night in his rookie season. And I think that could be a role that could help the guy out. Like you said, yeah, we gotta draft the guy that's the right fit. And Kaiser says we won't draft that high anyway. I'm really hoping that Shaden Sharp falls so that we're able to move up a little and get him. Yep, that'd be one of the dream scenarios, Kaiser, that I've got too. I think to Ivy, Jabari Smith, Shaden Sharp, in terms of being able to move up either a bit or slightly to get Sharp. But I think Sharp's going to be gone at about pick 6. I think I don't see Sharp lasting further than pick 6. And Ajay, I don't think you could trade Randle for just assets. What about matching salaries too? Yep, that plays a huge part, Ajay. Exactly, which is why the first 2 scenarios I had were Dallas sign and trade for salaries. Also, Portland, you can trade Julius straight to Portland. They have a huge trade exception that Portland can, a very rare situation that Portland can completely absorb Randle's salary in their massive trade exception. All they would have to do is give us Eric Bledsoe and the 6th overall pick. and that's why I've got that there as a big scenario too. So that's very rare that Portland can just absorb Randle and give us Bledsoe and a pick. And Ilmatics, one of his worry is that the front office and coach going to win now. Yep, hit the nail there, hit the money. Did Ilmatics. I'm of the same mindset, fam, as well. The win now nature that's never escaped this organization. We're worried that, we're at a point now we've never had this kind of amount of young talent, and maybe they turn a blind eye or they try to package it all for that win now guy, whether it's Donovan, whether it's like we say, Zion or anyone else out there potentially, crippling this organization again. And even if it doesn't cripple us long term, just the fact that they don't let this thing cook out or rock out, like Ilmatic said, you got to let this thing rock out just to see, for once and for all, like a George Costanza scenario. If you're doing something forever and it never works out, why not try the opposite for once, right? And we've got to be open, keep our minds open into how other teams are building a winning organization, right? How did a small market like Milwaukee Bucks come from obscurity? They had basically no one. They started from a clean slate. They drafted a scrawny raw Giannis playing in a third division Greek league kind of thing, and found that generational guy, and the rest is history. The rest comes, right? Mercenaries are going to come when you find that generational guy. And also, on point, Obi's contract is a ton cheaper than Randle's, right? So you want to compare the numbers and to how superior Randle is and all of that. You got to also look at the fact that if Obi's putting up whatever his numbers putting up, he's putting it up at what, 7-8 mil, less than maybe 7, 8, 6 mil a year, whereas Julius Randle's putting it up for 22 mil a year. Well, and Obi still has like 3 more years on a rookie deal. And Ashley Inc. 1, salute. What's good? We can trade Randle for assets without the matching salaries if a team is below the cap. It's the smart cap. Yep. Appreciate you for that dropping that. There's always ways. We've got to look into this thing with Brock Aller. He's the chief strategist, capologist. So he knows what makes sense. But like what you said, some teams can absorb the salary if they're below the smart cap. And Portland have a huge trade exception, like I mentioned as well. And they have the picks that would satisfy what we might need. The 6th overall pick would mean Shaden Sharp, potentially Jaden Ivey, but a swing, a home run swing at a generational talent. And Kaiser says, Randle doesn't play the way the team needs to play with pace and space. He wants to hold the ball up and jab step like a fake Melo, stagnates the offense. Let him go and do that out west as well. And hitting the money with there. But also, I will say, Julius Randle's ISO game has improved. He's definitely learned some things off Melo, but he's also holding up the offense, exactly like you said, holding up in due to the fact that he feels like he's got to carry us. I think he had more help than Julius felt that he did this season. We saw other dudes get lighted up on different nights. So, and I think Julius was still trying to be that guy. Well, and I think that's the issues with his mindset this season that he's had when he got paid the bag. In his mind, obviously, it's true. He automatically became the franchise guy. He was earning the most money. But what I feel like he didn't adapt to the fact that he didn't, involve his teammates enough like he could have. And a man-child salute. What's good up in there? Chopping this thing up with the grand vet sale. And D Cool, don't believe the hype to all the rumors. Knicks never end up with the players rumored to be coming here. Facts, right? And a long list of execs that come in here promising they're going to do something and they don't end up doing it. Like Leon, Worldwide West, Thibs. Worldwide West is here for his connections. What has he done? What kind of connections? He's scouting, he's sitting courtside scouting Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson. We know those dudes. You don't need to be a star whisperer to get Donovan Mitchell here. He's from New York. If Donovan Mitchell's going to leave Utah, he's going to have New York on his list. So I don't know why we continue to bring in dudes that basically promise something and they don't often deliver. Or it's not their fault. They're getting paid. It's also the ownership and the front office that continues to bring dudes in, and give them the money that they shouldn't, and speed this thing up. That's what speeds the expectations up. When you bring in these names in the front office, people think, oh my God, these guys are connected. These guys are going to get everyone in. The stars respect these guys, and we always seem to fall into the trap of that narrative. Just be good on the court. That's all you have to be good at. Be good at developing and be good on the court, and people will come. The cavalry will come, right? Mercenaries, vet minimums, buyouts, they will come. Like we chopped up last time. If the Knicks got lucky and drafted Steph Curry, we would have been the Warriors. Other dudes would have come. You know what I mean? All we would have needed was a Steph Curry, a generational talent, and the rest comes. And Manchild pops in. Yeah, Jeremy Sokum is his favorite at number 11 as well. Nice prospect there too, Manchild too. I'm not as high on him at 11, but I'm high on him for a trading down scenario. That's for real. Maybe around 15, late teens, early 20s kind of thing. If we could get San Antonio's 25th and 20th selection for the 11th selection, if we could get him at 20 and another pick at 25 as well, that's something I would consider. And I salute Troy. What's good? Nobody wants a power forward who dominates the ball but can't shoot threes efficiently, can't finish at the paint as well. With his challenging of his length with 6'8" Randle as well. Yeah, and I agree with that. I agree with it. I never want my basketball team's offense run through a power forward. It just, there's maybe but two guys in the world, LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo, power forwards, arguably power forwards that I'd be okay with running the offense through as well. But it's crazy. And Troy says, in today's NBA, you want bigs who can shoot and guard multiple positions. Yep, versatile. Yep, straight facts, right? Absolute versatility you need. And you guys keep it respectful up in the area. We respect everyone's opinions, even if we disagree. Again, only block the spammers or the people that are being derogatory as well, and we keep this thing buzzing. You guys know what it is up in here. And just healthy talk, healthy debate, and our best of worst. Salute. What's good? If Portland gets a top 3 pick, wouldn't they take our pick and Randle for their pick? Maybe Randle for Simons and their second pick. Yep, absolutely, fam. You're on the money there. I love Portland as a trade partner. It just makes a lot of sense. Julius Randle out there with Dame, it'd be the best outcome for Randle outside of Dallas. It'd be a nice outcome for Dame and for Portland organization, who can't really get big name players out there as well. And they have the draft assets we need, a young team on the come up that's rebuilding, right? Portland don't need that 3rd pick or the 6th pick that they got. They need to fill seats. They need to win now in Dame's timeline as well. And Damian Lillard's one of the most loyal players in history. And I respect that. If he wants to stay out there, the best thing that organization could do is to put winning players around him, or players that can help him, the rest of his career. But a Julius Randle move wouldn't cripple them for the future either. Like I said, he's only 27. By the time Dame's 36, Julius is 30. So that, appreciate that. That makes a lot of sense out there for Portland. Yep. And best of worst, again, what do you got? Randle actually played really well when we played faster towards the end. The problem is in the 4th, when things slow down, he'd be our shot creator and the closer, and Rose not playing was the difference as well. Hey, on the money again, spitting facts with this. Appreciate that point as well. Randle did play well when he moved up and down the floor quick. as well. One of the biggest reasons I have with Randle was his effort defensively. I know his shortcomings in terms of his game, his length. I can understand that. And I've said many times, Julius Randle's contract is on par, is worth what he is. Julius Randle's not overpaid. He earned his contract. I'm just trying to say, as a player, I don't want to build around that. I don't want to build around his game at the moment. But he did play well when he moves the ball quicker, when he plays with pace as well. And you watch him when he's on a team as the second, third option as well. Right now, I don't even know why we're trying to play a veteran roster of winning, trying to pick up wins and make the playoffs with Julius as a number one player. No organization would do that. No organization would try and pick up wins with Julius as your best player. It'd be going the other way. You either need to strip it down or you build it with more veterans, with better veterans, kind of thing. Right, we were stuck in no man's land, basically, bona fide no man's land this season. Trying to be loyal to people. Troy says Donovan would be a bad fit here. How many more bad defenders do we need in our starting lineup? Yeah, Donovan Mitchell's still got the all-star name, attached to him. He's still a great player. He has his shortcomings as well. I'd still be very open to getting Mitchell up in here, but it's got to be for the right price. I'm no trading the farm. Just like Troy says, I have my apprehensions, but no trading the farm. If it makes sense, I'd welcome Donovan up in here, but it's got to make sense. And some draft names, D's got Agbaji or Mark Williams if Mitch walks. Yep. Yeah, I think Agbaji, I'm going to go through my big board, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night. Join in. We do the same thing, roughly the same time again, but it's going to be a draft focus show. I'm going to reveal my big board and my 3 tiers of prospects in terms of trading and getting up in the lottery, picking where we're at, and then maybe trading down. And I've got a few juicy trade scenarios for you as well. And I'll give you my thoughts on all of these prospects in the first round as well. But Agbaji's got some upside, and Mark Williams and Duran as well if Mitch walks. And that's another point we need to bring up. If the front office has any inkling as to what Mitch will do in free agency, you watch it for draft night. They're gonna move swiftly because we know free agency comes pretty soon after the NBA draft. So in terms of what Mitch might be doing, what his thought process is, what conversations have been had between his agent and the front office, and whatever offer the Knicks have made, I think they're going to have a clear understanding by draft night in terms of what to do with that thing. So look out for the dominoes to fall quickly. Kaiser says exactly, Randle's small and has below average jumping ability. And Joseph says what we will do at the draft will show the true direction of the team. Trading up or down shows win now mode or developing the youth. I can't wait. Well, yep, I can't wait too, Joseph. Again, under 2 weeks away from the lottery as well. We're going to continue to chop up these prospects tomorrow night. But to your point, what we do on draft night, I agree. It's going to show some things. I don't know if it's going to show, trading up or down. I don't know if it's going to show that we're willing to pivot from the youth. I just think trading down, will most likely show that some of the prospects, they think they can maybe get better value for as well. I think trading the pick away, not necessarily trading up, will pivot from the youth because there's still some great young talent up top. But to your point, I think if they trade the pick away for a veteran, is going to absolutely show that they're trying to microwave the thing again. Basically, they're trying to pull in Donovan Mitchell. They're trying to pull in someone to pair up with Julius and RJ. Well, maybe Tom Thibodeau's stubbornness says that, hey, this season was an outlier. I can get this roster back into the playoffs. You let me, maybe he gets in Leon's ear and he says, no, give me another chance with a healthy D Rose, with a healthy Randle, with a better RJ, with a better Obi, quickly. I can do this. Maybe he convinces the front office to trade the pick, and that's my bad. That's my biggest fear that I had up in here, trading the pick. Well, I don't want to trade the pick. Well, in fact, the ugly. We've got a lot of work to do. And trading the pick to me would be the ugly. I want to rock with this draft. And Richard, salute. What's good? Troy says, yeah, you got to build around him. Then I don't see RJ and Randle being a good fit with him as well. And you guys are straight on the money here. Facts. Appreciate you again, keeping this streets buzzing. And Richard says Portland ain't doing that. That's going to be interesting to see. I don't really know what other hope Portland have. Let's be real. Portland aren't in a very, very desirable situation. They could make the selection, but, maybe Jeremy Grant is another name. They might have Jeremy Grant ahead of Randle. And Tarek says, where's the line that shouldn't be crossed? Grown man talk. Yep. Appreciate. Oh, there's a line that shouldn't be crossed. Yep. Facts, right? Will, salute. What's the number one trade target this summer, if I have one? Putting me on the spot there, Will. In terms of like a veteran, do you mean a number one trade target this summer, if I have one? I think out of all the biggest names out there in terms of Zion, if you're referring to more of the bigger names, Zion, you got Zion, you got Donovan Mitchell, and these kind of guys. My number one target out of all of them would probably be Zach LaVine. To be honest, Zach LaVine's, in terms of his play, it's been very sustainable for the last few years, still growing, unrestricted free agent. In terms of sign and trade, for me, Will makes the most sense. Out of Zion, Donovan, or Zach LaVine, I'd pick Zach LaVine at this point in time. And Richard says, yeah, our team developed what we have. Yep, facts, right? A team we can be proud of, homegrown talent that we drafted and that we saw grow up in this piece as well. Because look, the blueprint's there. You develop these young players, you'll make the playoffs soon enough. These people that might fear, tanking, perennial tanking, that's not going to happen. We develop lottery talent, and they will become better. They will thrive, and we will make the playoffs sooner than later. Memphis has done it. All these teams are doing it. Cleveland did it. You got to sprinkle a couple of vets on top, maybe for support, for growth, but it can be done. And Brent says, what's worse, missing out on Curry by one pick or by Jar by one pick? man, Bren, it's got to be Curry, absolutely Curry, because, we picked up RJ by missing out on Morant as well, who's not on Morant's level at the moment, but Curry absolutely has to be Curry. But what's done is done. We've suffered the pain, and we've moved forward now as an organization. We can't continue to make those same mistakes as well. And Mike D, what's good? What's up? Say it with me. The move they will make is getting Russell Westbrook. He helps them get rid of the role players, and he's on a shorter deal. Well, I appreciate you, Mike D, as well. That's one of the scenarios I had earlier in terms of the vets with Randle. Let me pull that up as well. Let's say a fit for Julius Randle. Let's say LeBron or LA want Randle. Then you might have to think about taking back the Lakers picks in the future, and then a Westbrook maybe, who's on a shorter deal than Randle. Exactly like what Mike D says, and we're not trying to advocate, or I'm not trying to advocate to get Russ Westbrook up in here, but it might be, the salary that they may need to take back as well. And Tarek, yep, on Sherwin M for his support for Randle as well, through thick and thin as well. And Sherwin, Julius Randle doesn't even stick his hands up to contest shots as well. Yep. Certainly Randle's not here to play any D, and he hasn't shown, his willingness to play regular D. I think that contract year was a contract year as well. He's shown us what he's shown us with New Orleans. And our best of worst, I feel like we're underappreciating Randle's talent because a lot of fans are still upset about a thumb. I don't want another Zach Randolph situation where we watch him be an all-star somewhere else. Yeah, look, it's bittersweet. No, I'm not going to say it's not, because I still supported Randle as a New York Knick. I think this season just showed me about the fit. His game ain't the best fit. I've moved past the thumbs down thing, and I understand he's a young player that the situation got the best of him, in terms of his emotions. He's always been able to show that when he's frustrated and his emotions and all of that. I blame a lot of the organization as well. The coaching around him, the advice he was getting, and all of those kind of things didn't help Randle's cause, fam. In his fit. And Troy says the team needs a massive overhaul and could use an upgrade at every position. Yep. Like I said, it's building from the ground up, but let's build with the young players that we have right now, because at least that's setting the timeline back, right? It's giving us more time, and you're also giving these players a chance to see who can become that all-star, who can become that next star for us. Well, we're seeing what Tyrese Maxey is doing in the playoffs. Emmanuel quickly shown that he can play well in the playoffs, and maybe not to that level, but he played pretty well against Atlanta last season. Not afraid to hit the big shot. Now, quickly just needs to settle into a role, needs to improve his handle and his court vision and playmaking, but quickly scoring. He's a D. His mindset, all of those kind of things is what we need in New York. Well, and he's on the right timeline. And Sherwin on the DeJounte Murray train as well. I could get behind that as well. He would fit. Sherwin's on the point here in terms of who would fit up in here, in terms of interchangeable wings as well on the backcourt as well. And Sherwin, who else do you like in the draft as well? I know you like Cam Reddish as well. You think Shaden Sharp, Tari Eason, and Dyson Daniels are the best wings, I think, from memory. But like Troy says, Memphis and Cleveland have stars as well. Yep, they do. Yeah, they sprinkle some vets and also with the young players, which helps them up. And Parrish, appreciate you again. Salute. The MSG pressure is our issue. Our away record was 20-21. Yep, our away record. We were road warriors this year, Parrish, as well, hitting the points with that fact. There is a lot of pressure in MSG, right? Pressure that other teams don't face around the league, right? It's the mecca. Players get up for the game as well. Other teams want to ball out and show the world what they can do. From the double nickel game from Jordan to the Harden game when he released a sneaker called Madison Square Harden. Remember that, folks. He waited to an away game at the Garden to release his sneaker. So that just hits home exactly what Parrish is saying, fam. We just need to block out that noise and also use that energy, use the crowd's energy as positive energy. And Ajay, problem with the Westbrook is Thibs would play him 40 minutes a night. Yeah, some things never change, Ajay. Not giving him the minutes to the young players, at least for a certain point. I think for a certain point in time. But like I said, coaches are hired to be fired. I'm not too worried about Thibs like some other people are, because I'm willing to. No, I understand that his days are numbered, right? When I say that, I don't know when Thibs is going to leave, when he's gone, but his days are numbered, right? He's not going to be the coach to coach us to our next chip. Well, it's going to be someone else. And I just hope there's not as much damage being done in terms of young players traded or, things like that. But I also don't want to completely kill Thibs for no development too. Thibs is, Thibs likes the young players, that we have. He likes them. Some of them he doesn't play because in his heart, he just doesn't believe that they can help us win. It might be flawed thinking, but he doesn't play them because he doesn't feel like, or he thinks another player can help them win. So if anything, you could just say he's a bad coach. Well, but Tom Thibodeau has built a certain culture where the players do respect him. A lot of the players do respect him and they do like him. RJ Barrett is one of them. And IQ is another one. Maybe not Obi Toppin, but Tom Thibodeau creates a structure as well. Now with David Fizdale, there was no structure as well. So there are some things that Thibs has done, that is brought to the table, and then his stubbornness and his bad adjustments has been has been counterproductive. And Kaiser says, I want Poole if IQ isn't the guy as a point next season. Yeah, that's going to be interesting, fam, that you bring that up. And I want to hear everyone's thoughts on Jordan Poole as the playoffs continue. You know, these players continue to shine, and he's going to be up for a huge contract. We're talking massive luxury tax for the Golden State Warriors. So with that said, you know, Jordan Poole, man, he's going to find himself with a nice bag regardless. And so's Jalen Brunson. You know, even if the playoffs ended today, Jalen Brunson is still getting the bag. That's not going to change. Jalen Brunson will still get 20 mil. You know, book it. And Brent says, I'd take 1 season of Russ for Randle's contract off the books any day. Yep. 1 season for Russ. Is that all it is? Let me know, fam. Does Russ just have 1 more year? Is that it? And we know, LeBron's career is winding down. Like he doesn't want to waste 1 year. So I could still see them moving on from that 1 year of Russ. Absolutely. And Jordan Poole is straight nice. He snuck up on me and me too, as well, fam. And what Sherwin got, I don't like the draft. Shaden Sharp and Jabari Smith are the only 2 players I like. There will be top 5 picks. I like Jalen Smith as a free agent to back up Randle. Trade Obi and IQ. Appreciate your thoughts on the draft there. Shaden Sharp. Yep, he does have star potential. Jabari Smith, absolutely as well. But I don't see it as so linear. I think Tari Eason, Malachi Branham, Dyson Daniel, they're all going to play big roles in the league. And, you know, we might talk about our Mikal Bridges. You know, he ain't no star, but look what he's doing. You know, he's helping a team win, right? You know, again, we keep going back to, fans want every player on the court to be a star. You know, that can't happen. You can't play 5 stars. 5 stars can't play with one another. Look at the LA Lakers in 2004. Right. You need 1 or 2 stars. You need a few guys that are solid, and you need a few other guys that can play a role, and that can still win. Right. The Detroit Pistons proved it. They won a chip. Milwaukee Bucks only have 2.5 stars, and they win. They beat the best team in the league by a mile, the Phoenix Suns, last season. And the Phoenix Suns have a great blueprint as well. You know, 1 to 2 stars. You know, a couple of Hall of Fame vets, and a couple of young up-and-coming studs as well. So, and look at Memphis right now, giving Golden State all they can handle, right? All they can handle with attitude, with grittiness, with defense, with a great coach, right game plan, all of that thing up in here. And I'm not trying to compare this guy or whatever, but I'll bring up this name, Mike D'Antoni. Right. Mike D'Antoni can get the best out of certain talents, where we all know that. You know, these guys may look like scrubs on other teams, but they can look good with Mike D'Antoni. So I'm just trying to say, you know, you need fit. You need teams can thrive and win games if they're the right pieces fit up in this piece. You know, if they play to their strengths. You know, if Mike D'Antoni has 5 guys that are all fit his system, that can get up and down 7 seconds or less, you know, he can win 60 games with them as well. So, yeah, it's like, all the parts have to fit and make sense, right? And I don't yet know what Tom Thibodeau's plan is up in this piece and what he'd be advocating for. I feel like he loves Emmanuel Quickley, but I feel like Tom Thibodeau would prefer Jalen Brunson over Emmanuel Quickley starting. You know, I'm just going to put that out there. I do think Tom Thibodeau would still want a veteran as much as he loves IQ. You know, it wouldn't hurt IQ to come off the bench for another season or play spot minutes. And JJ says, I'm trying to trade down if I can get an extra pick in the loaded 2023 draft. Yep. I like that, fam. Chess, not checkers. And I know some fans might be upset, but I'm of the same mindset. And we'll chop that up more tomorrow night. So tune in as we talk about the 3 tiers that I'll go through, and the 3rd tier being trading down prospects. There's a heap of them. And what that means is we could get an extra pick in next year's draft. We could get an extra pick in this draft as well. the 11th spot is pretty desirable for a lot of teams, and there are a lot of teams with more picks than they know what to do with. For example, the OKC Thunder have 3 selections in the top 30. I mean, look at the roster OKC have. There's barely enough minutes to develop all the young players they have. Do you really think OKC Thunder are going to make 3 more first-round selections again this year? There's no way in hell. They're going to consolidate those 3 picks. And with that said, they're going to be looking for a person who's willing to parlay a future pick in order to take an extra pick. And Bren says, D Will the Thrill played really good season here, even with Mick Beasley. And what happened to that? Yeah, man, the cautionary tales. I think D Will's in Europe right now. But Joseph says CBS Sports wrote a 19 redraft and had Jordan Poole over RJ. It said Poole is the better player now and better future. Is this really what non-Knicks fans think of RJ? I'm stunned. Man, that's not surprising. I think the whole world's tend to be a bit lower on RJ than we are, and that's okay. RJ's strengths are things that don't necessarily pop out as well, off the page right now. And also, I like to compare players at the end of their careers as well. Some players grow quicker, some players grow slower as well. Right, it's all good to do a redraft right now. Jordan Poole's balling out, but what does Jordan Poole look like on the New York Knicks with no other help? Right, don't forget Jordan Poole is getting the 4th best defender. He's playing with Hall of Famers as well. RJ Barrett is playing with trash basically as well. So RJ Barrett's putting up. He's getting guarded by Jimmy Buckets. He's getting guarded by Kawhi Leonard. He's getting guarded by LeBron James sometimes. So it's crazy. I mean, RJ Barrett was guarding LeBron James many times this season as well. So, I'm not even at the point where I'm evaluating RJ. I'm just saying, let me see him get better every year, and the rest will be history. And Kaiser says Thibs needs to go if he doesn't the same crap of playing vets extended minutes next season. Yep, I think next season will be his last year, Kaiser, if the same ish continues. Yep, I think Thibs was hired to be fired, and the clock's ticking. In his fairness, he did create some structure as well. Last season, brought respectability, earned his Coach of the Year award, got the best out of some of these young players as well. Has brought some young players along as well. He's brought them along tougher and in less ideal fashion than I would have liked. But some of the young players have grown still under Tom Thibodeau, which is better than the likes of Hornacek and Fizdale and Rambus and all that trash. But having said that, I agree. Tom Thibodeau is not the right coach for the future of this team. Different timelines, and his philosophy is conducive to get the best out of a veteran roster and to get this thing going. Yep. And Parrish says Quickly and Obi were the most effective thing we've seen on the court this year. They were dominant in Charlotte and Miami, which we never see. Yep. Yeah, and they got chemistry. That's what I mean about making this draft pick this year and bringing these players up that all fit one another. Like they've all got to fit, their timeline, and they get along off the court as well. Quickly, Obi, they love each other like brothers. They were drafted together. Deuce, Grimes, you could see love each other as well. I'm even seeing Deuce on Rocas's Instagram. Ladies and gentlemen, Rocas balling out in Europe. Made the Final Four of the Euro Cup. So our congrats and our praise goes out to Rocas out there as well, who's still a New York Knick. Balling out in Europe. Rocas is getting messages from Deuce and whatnot. He's getting the support after summer league. So this young core is tight. And I love that, you see the chemistry on the court, and where you see the divisions are players wave each other off and stuff is the veterans. The veterans like we speak on. And salute Cully. What's good, fam? Salute Cully. Salute up in here. We've shipped out some vets up in here tonight. 5 veterans, Randle, Kemba. Kemba's probably going to be a buyout or maybe a second round pick at best to Charlotte. Possibly, the teams out in LA. And also Nerlens Noel. Got to see if he can be had. We may have to package a second round pick to get out of Nerlens Noel. However, his deal is expiring, so he might come off the books. We got D Rose. We need to do the right thing by D Rose, I think, and get him out of situation. And Fournier and Burks, I think, are most likely to maybe stick around till the deadline. And then Julius, obviously, we know the situation with Julius. Who knows what's going to happen? I favor that situation out in Dallas and Portland for homes for Julius, and also an LA return. A Clippers return would be nice. Sorry, an LA return, but to the Clippers as well. With that said, and Cully says F Thibs up in here. The way he mismanaged the situation, and JJ wants Poole over RJ as well, supporting Jordan Poole as well. Jordan Poole is a talent, no lies as well. But I'm at this point where I'm just going to support the player we have. I know RJ's got his shortcomings, but I'm not saying I wouldn't want Poole. Don't get me wrong. I think Jordan Poole's a great talent as well. But time's got to come where if we continue to just talk about other teams' players as well and just forget about our own players. We need to just support our own, and build this environment up, because that's one of the reasons why stars turn a blind eye. They don't want to face this scrutiny. Let's face it, they love New York Knicks passion, the fans, the arena MSG, but they don't like the critique. We're so passionate. Well, so with RJ, he's a homegrown dude, and we need to get behind him. We need to see what he can be up in here and build some stability. So there's a reason we have the Charlie Ward curse. It's because we're so impatient. We just want to keep comparing other players and keep flipping the players we got as well. So let this young core grow and see what they can be. And then I'm okay with moving on from a dude after their rookie contract. If they're still stinking it up, it's open slather for me. And Cully says Thibs better not pull this studying film and crap next season or it's over. Yep. I completely agree. Hitting the money there, Cully. With Thibs. And I think he, whether he regrets what he says or not, man, he's got to know that, we're watching for that next season, right? The way the young Cats finish the season out, there's no ducking and hiding from that situation anymore, fam. In terms of, the Knicks have seen a sample size of what this roster can do with Julius on and off the floor, and with some of the veterans off the floor, with Kemba gone, with Burks in a different role as well, right? It's malpractice, and Parrish again on the money all night. Let this young core grow and push each other. They are a special group. Yep. Many of them are special, in terms of their bond as well. Parrish, in terms of also their bond for one another, and and wanting to play for each other as well, unselfishly. So the 2-man game that quickly Obi have a special. Like, I was watching some more highlights the other day, and the backdoor plays, the quick split second decisions to throw a lob to Obi, that's just unguardable for some defenses. It's similar to what Zion can do. When Obi's a quick short spot jump off the court to throw it in, it's a threat. It's such an elite rim threat that also Mitchell Robinson has. And David up in here, salute. What's good? I'm looking at the competition and what can the Knicks do. And what can the Knicks do to win a championship? We need a counter for Embiid, Giannis, and the Celtics. So, appreciate it, David. Looking ahead, I was also talking about that the other day, about the timeline of the current hurdles in the New York Knicks way, and then what we need to do to compete, and then also our timeline to compete when these guys are finished. The Celtics are going to be around for a while. Embiid's still going to be around. And Giannis is going to be around for a while, like you said. And Manshaw says, put Poole in a garbage team, he'll be mediocre. Yep. I don't know about mediocre, but like I was saying, he definitely looks better because of the situation he's in, fam. Yeah, I agree with that part as well. You basically swap RJ with Poole, and what does Poole look like in RJ's role? Probably similar numbers. Let's be honest. He's been guarded by Kawhi, guarded by Jimmy Buckets, guarded by LeBron, like I said. And Kaiser said you got to look at Poole's plays for a way better organization that developed Poole. Yep, he had development from one other than Kenny Atkinson, the guy that I wanted us to get. Ladies and gentlemen, let that sink in. RJ has to fight with a Randle for the ball and deal with Thibs' bad offenses as well. Yep, there's some hurdles for sure. But again, I don't really like to compare players at this point in time, man. Like I said, compare me after their rookie deals or after their careers. Or players grow at different speeds. Like Nikola Jokic was drafted in the second round. He drafted a bit slower as well. Jordan Poole's had some nice development, like we said, from Kenny Atkinson. But Tom Thibodeau, he's been around Hall of Famers as well to absorb from. RJ Barrett's had trash for teammates. He's had to rely on his own nous and his own coaching staff, to get better as well. And a Canal, salute, fam. What's good? You are not replacing Mitch with anyone in this draft as well. It'd be a shame to lose Mitch for nothing too. And Mitch's game is still ascending, like I said. The only thing I need from Mitch is a mid-range J at this point in time. Set better screens and a mid-range J. Joseph, draft Dyson, sign Mitch, trade Randle for a starting PG, promote Obi to the 4 spot, sign Melo back to back up Obi. That would be an amazing offseason. They appreciated Joseph up in there. I'm on the board with drafting Daniels, re-signing Mitch. I can get behind, trading Randle as well. Depends what kind of starting point guard, whether we could get Sexton or whether we could get Brunson back. Promote Obi to the 4 spot. I'm on board with that. Tick, sign Melo as well. I've been on record to say I'd welcome Melo back for a 1-year, bench role. Nothing more than a bench role. And then, making moves out here as well. But keep developing the youth. Keep developing it. And quickly in Obi's chemistry reminds me a lot of Nash and Stat combination. Yep. Hey, facts, fam. Appreciate you dropping that, Jewel. Like I said, they got chemistry, man. It ain't just about the player's ability. It's their chemistry. Well, they know each other. They practice together. Opening night, they were there tonight. They were drafted on opening night. Christmas night, quickly was in the gym, getting reps up. So they got the pulse, and I think, you can't put a price on 2 players drafted in the same draft for the same team that have chemistry like that, 2 different positions, quickly feeding the ball to Obi for years and years to come, right? The lobs on the highlight reels for years to come will be heavy if we keep those 2 around. And D Cool says, if Mitch walks, let's go after DeAndre Ayton. Yep, that's going to be interesting to see too, because Ayton's going to get paid the bag, fam. Ayton's going to need to get paid. He's looking for the bag. It's all dependent also on what Phoenix do as well, and what Phoenix do in the playoffs. Parrish, I'm letting Mitch grow on me. I would rather keep him than sign Brunson. Yep. Yeah, there is some upside to keeping stability as well, fam. It's all about the coaching staff too. Does Thibs' game get the best out of Mitch? Does he want Mitch to have more touches offensively? You guys let me know. You want Mitch to touch the ball more on offense. He certainly would love to touch the ball more on offense. And I think that could be the pivotal factor outside of the money in terms of which team Mitch chooses. Is it, let's keep it real. Let's say Detroit offer him a sexy role, in the offense, getting up and down with Cade Cunningham and Sadiq Bey. Or let's say Charlotte offer him a role with getting up and down with LaMelo as well, and being that franchise starting center for Michael Jordan as well. So it's going to be interesting. And Knicks 100, salute. And just what is it? We would be replacing 22 boards, 1 game, and then 4 boards, games in between the next 10 rebound game for Mitch. And Cully, it's about situations. Why look at Pools in other situations? Just 2 days, he's had mediocre. He'd be mediocre yet. Fournier had a trash year, but he's a good player. Yeah. yeah, it's all about the situations, exactly like Cully said. You got to look at the situations, right, and players where they can shine. And Sherwin says Pool's a great shooter. He's a very good at offensive. He's good at offensive side of the ball. Stop hating his D. Needs some work. I will gladly take him. Yeah, I'd gladly take Pool again. I'm just here not just to talk about comparing him to Star J. That's all. Yeah, again, different trajectories. And I don't want to compare guys after their rookie year as well, because RJ's had a tough situation. Again, it's not easy to be developed in New York as a rookie. The expectations are different. There's a reason the Charlie Ward curse exists. Like I said, it's no accident that no drafted rookie can stand the heat in New York, right? And it's a different kind of heat. You know what I mean? RJ Barrett could have a 30 piece and then have a bad game the very next game, and then he's facing a whole heap of heat as well as a 21-year-old. And David says Randle, Mitch, Burks is not the answer. No, absolutely not. We need to we need to sell these vets off ASAP and see what we can get. And Cully says I don't trust the front office to do nothing this summer, so therefore no excitement. It's sort of a wait and see, Cully, as well. I'm just waiting for the lottery first, because that could really be a domino to change things up in here. The front office can't bungle a top 4 selection. They've got to pick someone talented. But the 11th spot or trading it is where it gets real tricky. And what they do with Julius and Thibs moving forward. But I'm just looking for the days when, they're gone and days are numbered for them, I think. I think that they're gonna flame out soon enough. The fan base, the front office, and James Dolan, they can't hide from this situation. It's we're the most valuable franchise again, which is what I wanted to touch on, guys. The New York Knicks, we're the best fan base and we're the best team in terms of value, and we're the most passionate. We call it like we see it, and we call out BS. We continue to call it out. And we can make an impact with this thing. And JJ said I could see Spurs drafting someone like Dyson ahead of us. Yep, I said that too the other day, fam. We got Spurs and we got the Washington Wizards in 9 and 10 ahead of us. And absolutely, certainly, Dyson Daniels would fit both those clubs, I think, as well. But I'm not mad, because at 11, we still got the chance to get Tari Eason. We still got the chance to get, I like Malachi Branham from Ohio. I think Malachi can straight fill it up. He reminds me of a Jimmy Butler, DeMar DeRozan kind of offensive player as well, and he's got defensive potential as well. And Knicks 100, the front office has made accurate decisions the past 4 years. Y'all just too blind to see. And Knicks 100 supporting the front office. And Manshot, I believe Leon wants to do it differently than the previous regimes by staying the course and build from within. Let's hope. I hope that's the case, Manshot. I appreciate that. He wants to be around for a long time, is what I feel. He knows Thibs is 64. He knows these other guys have flamed out. Leon Rose is still a young human being. Like front office role, he could be for the long haul. So if he's smart, the health of this organization and avoiding any short-term moves will be in Leon's best interest. Absolutely. He's not going to want to be a one-and-done prez. That's for sure, right? He gave up the agent world to move into this kind of world, so he wants to do it right. I feel like you said. But you've got the star whisperer in Worldwide West. You got Thibs trying to push for the now. I feel like it as well. And I appreciate you, fam, in the chat, keeping things buzzing. Let's continue to roll. And D says, no matter what we all want, the front office will do the opposite. And once again, Knicks fans will be disappointed. I got to feel like some sort of optimism that they're learning on the job, and that they're learning the pulse of the fan base and what's happening around the league. They can't ignore the fact that the Celtics, the Memphis Grizzlies, next year we'll have Detroit, Houston, Cleveland, all these other teams on the come up. They see the timeline, and I hope D that they see that they basically wake up a changed person, and they see what's going on out there in the league. And David says, I hope Cam is that guy. He continues to draft. Hopefully we get a star. Yep, we chopped up Cam earlier, David, as well. I think he will stick around all next season. And I think they're going to, see what he has. The front office traded a first-round pick, and they pulled out of the LA trade with Burks to keep Cam up in here as well. It's just about like what you said about clearing the space and and giving him enough chance so that hopefully he can have a role here. He can find his way. And JJ says, no, Mitch hasn't shown much offensive capabilities. Yep, he certainly hasn't so far. He's shown that one. He surprised us all with that crossover, didn't he? When he took Plumlee to the rack, and I think that was just a product of getting fed up with the situation. But I don't see Mitch shooting a whole lot of jumpers next season as well. But you just got to keep the D honest, just to be able to pull their other center out of the paint, because he ain't a good fit with Julius. Absolutely not. Julius in the paint with RJ needs to get to the paint as well, fam. I think that's the biggest issue with having those three together. And Joseph not hiring Kenny Atkinson was a great move. He went Golden State to learn their system. Now he can come back to New York and implement that to our young guys. Playing chess, Joseph, I don't know if the front office is that smart, but maybe they'll dumb their way into that situation and fall their way into that. Sure, it says Mitch 4-year, $60 million. Give that man his money, paying Mitch up in here to continue that growth in New York, stability. That's going to be the biggest question, the money, what the Knicks are going to offer and what other offers are out there, Sherwin, what other teams and what other roles. The fan base may want Mitch back, but I'm keeping it a real. I don't think he particularly likes Thibs. I don't think he likes his role, and I don't think he likes Thibs. He's gone on social media and he said so many times, ladies and gents, he said so many times, he's put subliminals out there. And Kaiser, salute. Mitch gets touches and lobs when the guards throw him the ball. It's hard for Mitch to get the ball when Randle is in the paint. Yep, absolutely on point there. With Randle, RJ, and Mitch, all their game is dependent on being in the paint. It's just not the best fit up in here. And Manchild said Atkinson is a candidate for the Lakers job. Yep, to John. Yep, that'd be well deserved. I think developing Poole and what he's doing out there in Golden State, absolutely, fam. Kenny Atkinson should be a candidate. And what do you guys think about Mark Jackson being up in here, being a candidate for Sacramento? He's finally getting his name out there. And Tarek says, bunch of rebounds mean nothing. Offensive and defensive boards mean something. Offensive and defensive rebounds mean something. Block shots mean something. Yep, absolutely. And Knicks 100, always been vocal about his dislike for Mitch. Mitch is a bum. And Sherwin says, Mitch for Poole and Wiseman in a sign and trade. Yeah, sign me up for that, Sherwin. I don't know if they'd give up Poole or Wiseman for Mitch, but I'd sign on that on the dotted line. Absolutely, facts. Yeah, like Tarek says, tell that to Ben Wallace. And Parish Brogdon from Indy is my choice, partly because he's a great leader, but he can't play big minutes, opening up big minutes for quickly. Yep, so there's a caveat for that for Parish as well. Look, Brogdon has the shooting. I'm worried about Brogdon's health, being able to stay healthy, fam. With that said, can Brogdon stay healthy? Who the heck knows? But I know Tom Thibodeau is going to want him. Absolutely, I could see that. And JJ says, Tankathon has us taken Jalen Duren at 11. I'm fine with that. Yep, I think it's been changing rapidly, JJ. Tankathon's sort of, this time of year, it's changing rapidly. But yeah, Jalen Duren might go higher than 11 from what I'm hearing. He's got a lot of buzz because a lot of clubs love a young player. He's only 18 years of age. Jalen Duren, he has a crazy potential, a Mitch clone, basically, but longer wingspan. I think shorter, but longer wingspan and a better playmaker as well. He can pass the rock, can Jalen Duren as well. And Sherwin says, Obi fans, Mitch is my favorite player, but I will trade him. He's just a player. I want the best for the best for the Knicks. I appreciate that, Sherwin. At least you're showing your loyalty to the team in that regard, not just players as well. Mitch is your favorite player, but you're willing to trade him for a no-brainer move, right? You have to. I'm not married to no player up in here as well. There are players that I would love to keep, and I would love to see them finish their career as a New York Knick. That's always going to be the case. We wear jerseys with names on it. We get behind them. We cheer them. But like we said, we favor winning. Winning cures all. And the business has to make sense. Appreciate that player that does the dirty work, Tarek says as well. Facts, right? That's why I love this game so much. It's not just the box score. It's way beyond that. Like there's no stat for screens, is there? I appreciate when dudes set a good screen, like Jericho Sims. That's one of my favorite parts of his game, and Taj Gibson's game. They set solid brick wall screens that free up a teammate in order to get a bucket. Right, that bucket shows up on one player's stat sheet. It doesn't show the screen to get them free. Doesn't show up on the other box score, does it? And going back and forth again. Guys letting their thoughts know out there from Mitch. One thing's for sure, the chat's going to be lit when Mitch free agency happens. One way or another, it's going to happen. He's going to pick a team, or he's going to stay with the Knicks, and it's going to be a fan base full of thoughts. And in terms of unrestricted free agency, that's the biggest question mark for this team. And I don't want to lose Mitch for nothing. That would be crazy bad business. And Cully says, I agree. The front office will pull some BS and then they'll try to justify it. Yeah. What did you think of the Brunson thing and World Wide West scouting? They're obviously eyeing a vet in Brunson or Donovan. Donovan Mitchell is going to make a decision on his future pretty soon as well. And I feel like there is going to be a situation where that World Wide West and that they're going to put forward their recommendations. Their recommendations are going to be to try to, justify their roles, justify that they're here to bring in a name as well. Otherwise, what's the point in them being here, right? We could build through the draft without these guys. And JJ said, even if we make an upgrade somewhere, it's going to be hard to make the playoffs or play in. Just look at the 4 play-in teams this year. The East is loaded. Yep, JJ, that doesn't get said enough. And I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, we could make improvements next year and we still don't make the play-in. And that's why I'm not tied to wins and losses with this team. I'm just give me development. Just give me improvement with this team, right? Seeing these players grow and become a future all-star and these kind of things. And then the rest will sort itself out, right? I think the rest will absolutely sort itself out. And Manshaw says Brogdon will be on the shelf like half a year for half a season. Yep, I can absolutely see that happening as well. Now I respect people want different guys. I respect that. We're all here to chop up their opinions and which players we want to bring in here. But truth is, none of us are experts. You know what I mean? None of us are experts. There is there are moves that work out and there are moves that don't work out as well. We only put forward our recommendations of what we think is going to happen. And remember, it's a business side of things too. Like I say, if we want to move on from a player, it's not just about you thinking that player's trash. Maybe you like the player, you just don't want to pay them that kind of money. Maybe you got bigger moves on the horizon. There are things behind the scenes we don't see as well. Maybe they really, really like Mitch, but maybe they really, really, really like Cam Reddish and they want him to take that kind of money. So who knows? It is a business as well. But yeah, I love the passion. I love the fan base as well. That's what makes us the best. And I salute P Nice. What's good, fam? Rocking out. We did a vet sale and we're clearing the runway for the youth. Like I said, I could get behind a starting lineup next season of Quickly, RJ, Cam Reddish, Obi, and Mitch as well. I could get behind that. Wins and losses ain't important to me next season. It's not, like I said, we may not even be a play-in team. The East is absolutely loaded, and that's just another reason why we need to keep pushing this thing forward in the timeline and build for the future. And a shot clock violation. What's good? Salute. Yep, he's not big on Mitch, kind of bum juice. No, you good P nice. We're just rocking out. And Parrish Thibs taking the ball out of Randle's hands and getting him to play hard as a power forward is the whole story. Yep, hitting facts there again. Parrish and Randle is just trying to play to his strengths, the strengths that he's only known since growing up, since playing ball. I think it's up to the coach, like you said, to put players in the right positions to succeed. Well, players are going to play, and there's a reason coaches get paid the bucks and front offices do the moves and all of that kind of thing too. It's like putting the pieces together, the jigsaw piece together, so they all work together and with chemistry and cohesion, because 5 players are on the court at a time only. This is a rare game. It ain't like football, 5 pieces only. If 1 or 2 guys are generational stars, you're going to win most of the time. But if you don't have those guys, you need chemistry. And Parrish says, yeah, Brogdon on the shelf was perfect. Was my point. Yeah, so he doesn't take too many minutes away as well. I could see what kind of salary does Brogdon come with, and kind of years on his deal. If he has 1 or 2 years, I'll be okay with it. And at Illmatics, we aren't ready to make noise in the East just yet. But the beautiful thing is it's unwritten. That's my honest opinion. We don't yet know what RJ Barrett's ceiling will be, what Obi's ceiling will be, what Quickly's ceiling would be. That's what's exciting for me, is to tune in, watch these players every night play, and let's evaluate it after the season to see who pops, kind of thing. We could say that the people, our timeline will be 2028 or 2025. We don't really even know. That's what's got me excited, because we're going to have a young core that's going to go out and play well together, and and try to play hard. No division in the locker room, all of that kind of stuff. And P Nice says we have a log jam at the guard. Trade D Rose to Chicago for a sign and trade with Zach LaVine. Yep. And P Nice up in here. Let me just pull this one up like I did earlier. We got D Rose. Yep. Yeah, D Rose. I had D Rose going to Chicago, Washington, or the Clippers as well. Yep. And I had Fournier as a possible Chicago return if Zach LaVine chooses the Knicks as well in a sign and trade. See, I could see some sign and trade scenarios, fam, if Zach LaVine chooses another situation. So, because Chicago don't want to lose that for nothing, And Joseph, I don't blame our players being frustrated with their roles, like Mitch. Remember what Evan said about our offense. We look clogged up because Thibs can't adjust. Give Ty Lue or Kenny this roster, we succeed. Yeah, appreciate that point, Joseph. Yep. Certain players are going to be frustrated that aren't getting the right touches, the right roles. And that's where unrestricted free agency hits home. A player can choose their own path, choose their own careers, where they want to go. And I feel like Mitch has been deprived of that for most of his career. His agent forced him that 4-year deal. And he's just been frustrated overall with money, with role, all of that stuff. And if I'm a betting man, I'm betting that he picks another team. I don't even think the debate's going to be in our hands. I think Mitchell Robinson would prefer a different situation if the money was the same as well. Or they could sell him on the team looking drastically different. Like, let's say Randle's gone, or, we get up and down with the quicker pace. And with the ISO play, like Manshold says, that's all he knows. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yeah. With the isolation play. And again, this roster everyone looks worse basically than what they are, because we're forcing a square peg in a round hole. We're trying to win games and make the playoffs with a roster that's not good enough in the East to make the playoffs. That's what it comes down to. These guys could play as hard as they possibly can. They're just not good enough to be any good in the East. So we just need to reset this thing and sell these vets off as well. I mean, we saw how crazy the East is. Even the 9th and 10th record was better than the 8th record in the West, or something like that, right? So there's so much depth, and we're just way off. way off the mark here. Parrish, so you want to give up assets for someone who you hope gets hurt. I hope there's no assets being given up, but yeah, that's that point in reference to Brogdon and Canal. If we had a logjam at guard, why would you trade Rose for Levine, who will get more minutes as well? Levine's certainly a big upgrade. Levine obviously would deserve the minutes, being an all-star as well. But yeah, he would take up a ton of more minutes. But for me, it's just about getting D Rose to a situation where he can try to win that ring, and the fact that we can get off of D Rose's money and absorb that space with someone else, because D Rose, if he cops another injury, it's going to be difficult to even think about getting any return for D Rose and Ilmatics. What I mean is that we should be excited from years from now if we keep the core pieces together. Yep, we hear you. Facts. We should be excited still about this team's future, right? We just got to build this thing the right way. Let these young players continue to play heavy minutes and to see, which ones pop. Not every one of them is going to pop. But the more you play, the more players you give minutes to, and the more they play, the more likeliness that they're gonna pop, right? And and then they become attractive for other teams, and you open up all kinds of doors for yourself. As a smart organization, there's no coincidence we've been stuck in mud for so long. With these other franchises, they've been able to rebuild 3-4 times in the time that we've sucked. It's because they've got proper businessmen, proper basketball minds making proper decisions, not just trying to fawn over the next attractive veteran that might be available and come save us like a Disney film, and try to rectify this thing overnight. No, it's not going to happen that way. And keep the pick, like I've been saying, Manchild, and then you look at these kind of wings. Jeremy Sokum, he can guard all positions. Absolutely, he can. And if we draft the 11th spot, there's also other wings, and then there's good trade down options as well, ladies and gents, which will chop up tomorrow night. And Ilmatics, let the current Eastern stars flame out, and we'll be right there ready to pounce. Yep, that's the kind of thought I'm thinking as well. When Jimmy Butler and Miami age, when Philly flame out, we've got to be there ready. Absolutely. And I do feel like Chicago's not quite there yet either. I think they wrap together a lot of veterans, but I don't think Chicago's a threat long term. They might lose like Zach LaVine to LA. I think they're going to lose Zach LaVine, and what does that mean? They're stuck with Nikola Vucevic, and maybe they need to tear that thing down again. They're stuck with an aging DeMar as well. So yeah, what does that mean again, fam? This league, man. I keep saying the NBA is the toughest league in the world to win in, and it's crazy up in here. That's what keeps us buzzing and keeps this thing rolling back and back and back with this thing. I'm loving this conversation as well. Keeping the streets buzzing in the off season, ladies and gentlemen. We're less than 2 weeks away from draft lottery. I've been saying we're due. The odds have been not in our favor so many times, but with odds, it has to happen. Has to happen eventually, and this year might just be our year to get it. I think. Let's see, 9.4% chance. What's your optimism levels at in terms of getting this thing going and getting into the top 4? And Orlando Sherwin says Canal. And Knicks 100, can't wait to see Hunt and Cam play in the Summer League. Man, I don't know if Cam will play in the Summer League, but I can definitely see Rokas coming down. That'd be nice. Deuce getting a ton of burn. I think Deuce McBride should be running the point for every single Summer League game. There'd be something seriously wrong. And this is implying that Quickly might not play Summer League. Yeah, but Deuce McBride should be running point the whole Summer League with Rokas, and then our draft pick, and then Farron Hunt, Quentin Grimes, and Quentin Grimes will return as well. Look forward to seeing him kill Summer League, man. He should kill Summer League. Facts. Lonzo hurt. Yep, definitely. They're an aging list. Nice, especially with D Rose and Canal. I'm still hoping for a Randle for Portland first round trade. Yep, me too, fam. Absolutely. On that note, let me just pop up for those that missed it as well. Julius Randle's destinations. I got Dallas in the top spot, and then Portland, like Canal says. It's a match made in heaven for those two teams, because you send Dallas, a hometown hero, and then you also, you help Portland with a name or a former All-Star player to help Damian Lillard as well. And what the Portland need with those draft picks right now. So yeah, that'd be a dream scenario. Canal, facts, right? The Julius one's probably going to be the most difficult. And I'm kind of thinking that he's going to be here at least till opening night, at least through to the trade deadline. Well, and trade all the vets for picks. Yep, keep rolling it back. Let's Sam Presti this thing. Well, and Cam might not play summer. Yeah, I agree with that, fam. Here are the dudes that I think are a lock for summer. I think Deuce, Grimes, probably Hunt if he's here, and then Rokas most likely. Still not promised, but most likely. And then our draft pick, if he comes, Obi and Quickly, I don't know. I just don't know. It'd be nice for them, but I don't know if guys coming into their third year should be playing summer league, man. Just give those other guys all the burn they can get. And David Thibs needs to change his old school style in today's game. Plays not to lose rather than plays to win. Well, yep, that's powerful words as well, David. Appreciate that. Tom Thibodeau, again, at this point in his career, he's not going to change his methods to what got him there. And, I understand the philosophy behind, Tom Thibodeau, whatever we say in New York, Tom Thibodeau is successful. Like he has been a successful NBA coach. He's reached the top of the tree. And would you think someone who's reached the career or the top of an industry like Thibodeau has to change? You're always going to draw back on and come back to what got you where you got to at the end of the day. And that's why I don't think Tom Thibodeau is going to change one thing. In his eyes, he's successful. He's become an NBA coach and a 2-time coach of the year, right? It'd be like using what got you to where you were and then abandoning everything that you used to get you where it got you as well. So I just think Thibs isn't the right fit for where he's at right now. He hasn't got the right tools, and he's trying to put square pegs in round holes. And Manchild, Rokas will be in the summer league as well. Yeah, I hope, fam. I can't wait to get me another look at Rokas as well, because we keep forgetting, but yeah, he could be part of this thing. Either not next season, maybe moving forward as well. He is a point guard, and he can play. And Jaden Ivey, yeah, we're getting Zion, fellas. Get ready. Well, I don't know how likely that is, Jaden, with what's going on out there in New Orleans. Let's keep our eyes on that. But certainly the Knicks are monitoring all situations. World Wide West is trying to fast cook this thing real quick. And Canal says Cam is hurt and they will not risk him further for summer league. Yep, facts, right. And Ilmatics correcting me too. Appreciate that. And Jericho Sims. Well, I cannot wait to see Jericho Sims. I love his defense, his quickness on the perimeter, the screen setting from Jericho, the lob threats as well, the verticality of Jericho Sims getting up there and disrupting shots as well, all for the 58th pick. And if anything, let that be an example of why you keep your picks, ladies and gentlemen. Right, veterans coming and going. That happens. But drafting, not every team is smart enough to keep their picks and develop talent. Look what Golden State are doing, man. Like, we're in an alternative universe where Golden State could still be a moribund franchise if they didn't luck out and get Steph Curry, get Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, right? They hit the jackpot with that said. They could still be a moribund franchise out there in San Francisco where no veteran or no free agent wants to go, right? But what did they do? They played the draft game and they hit the jackpot as well. And also the New York Knicks rue the day that they didn't trade up and missed out on Steph Curry as well. So let that be a lesson. The New York Knicks need to learn from their mistakes. And the Memphis Grizzlies, another example, where they're at right now in the playoffs and where they're headed. It's all because of the draft. Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bain. The list goes on, right? Slow cooking this thing. I mean, it won't be long before OKC and Detroit and Houston are fully advanced as well. Cleveland came up super quick. So yeah, it's going to be insane. We need to do this thing right. And our Canal, salute. Rokas looks like a player. Yep, on the money. Facts he does. Rokas in the Final Four of the Euro Cup playoff tournament or whatever it is for Barcelona. I saw his stat sheet the other night. It was in 17 minutes. He put up 8 points, 8 assists, like 3 rebounds in 17 minutes or something like that. Yeah, playing meaningful basketball, in a lesser competition, but still meaningful basketball for a 21-year-old. He's getting quality seasoning up in here. So we don't need to rush this thing, right? Rokas is slow cooking. Well, we just need Deuce some minutes and Obi quickly some minutes. And yep, salute. JJ Sims can do everything Mitch does, except he's not as good of a rim protector. Yep, he's got it. Not as high in terms of length or wingspan, but he's got other strengths, like JJ said. Absolutely, he's more bulkier. He sets better screens. He's still got the same level of verticality, same level of hops, maybe more hops. Well, he just needs to become a smart player. Both of them do need to master the fundamentals. And Parrish says Brogdon actually would last as a backup and play in pivotal minutes every game with managed minutes. I was saying that about Brogdon in jest. I think he would be great in spot pivotal minutes as well. Yeah, he definitely has value. I think it can't hurt to go into the season with one veteran point guard. Again, let's say quickly really struggles. With Tom Thibodeau here, you don't want to fully crucify your players as well. You do need some support. But with that said, whether it's D Rose or another veteran, I could see one veteran point guard at least being on the roster. Jalen Brunson, maybe they bring Rokas in and they just have Rokas, quickly, and Deuce as all backups as well. With D Rose maybe as well. And I said we went through the D Rose trades tonight, but it doesn't mean D Rose is automatically going to be traded. It's going to be a tough call and a tough sell for the Knicks to move on from D Rose because Tom Thibodeau's connections and all of that good stuff. And Knicks 100, we can't have nothing nice. Word to mother. And look, fans have been through a lot as well. I know people are certain hopes and optimism on certain things. I'm just a dude that just prefers to let things play out and let's just continue to call it like we see it. Because we've been let down by this front office. We've been let down by the organization over and over and over. We're supporting this thing, but we're not the ones really pulling the strings. We just got to continue to hold them accountable and give us our thoughts and give them our thoughts. And Canal says, have the Knicks ever traded up? Yeah, good question. Good question, man. I don't think even in recent memory, we're used to trading down. Yeah, we used to trading down a lot, most often than not. We tried to trade up last season. That's a fact. We tried to get Chris Duarte and Trey Mann, which Trey Murphy as well, which would have looked like solid moves at the time. Let's see that play out, and we'll chop it up more tomorrow. But I think the most likely scenario is that the Knicks stay where they're at, or they trade down if we don't get into the top 4 in the lottery. And Farron Hunt, is he a small forward or a power forward? Yeah, good question. I think he's a bit more of a small forward in terms of a scrawny frame. And Cully says, does Thibs manage minutes? No. Yep, absolutely he doesn't. Yeah, he's all out he coaches wins and losses on his resume. And that's why I said coaches are basically a contractor. They're success is riding on what they do in wins and losses. They don't care about the organization's future. They don't care about what happens when they're no longer the coach anymore, and how much, harm they've caused. Basically, like I said, I feel like Tom Thibodeau is just here for his own personal success. And the one thing is I can say is we're looking like we're prioritizing the development a bit more than the past regimes have, with these moves, these two-way guys, Farron Hunt, Lucas Samanic didn't work out. Jericho Sims with the 58th pick. That's what happens when you're brave and you make the selections at 58. One thing that pissed me off was when the Knicks punted on the 33rd pick or something. You guys can help me out. Yeah, it was like 2 years ago. We had a pick in the early 30s and we just didn't even make the pick. We just gave it away. And that one of those picks became Desmond Bane, I think, or some of these other players that could have been had. And all we did was just throw the pick away. Right. I think it might have been a Phil Jacks regime. I'm like, man, you just pick the player and then see what they can do in training camp. Yeah, and Cully says like Knicks never traded up. Sorry, behinds. Yep. We tried, but we're always too far away. Meaningless wins towards the end of the season. We could go on and on. When Maurice Endor scored a game winner to win us more games, and we missed out on Cat. I think Shane Larkin hit a couple game winners as well when we're trying to prioritize Shane Larkin, and more games than I can even remember right now that I'm glad I forget, because we always just try to win games towards the end and we end up too far off in order to trade up. And Manchel says the downside is this, and Randle will be around next season. Cully. Yep. Look, Randle one. It's still a wait and see. Tick and bomb. I think tick and bomb. But maybe opening night. But I think by trade deadline, I could see Julius on another team, and maybe he just got to repair his value a bit more as well, because they know they've got a decision to make with Obi Toppin. We can't forget that situation with Obi. No other franchise would go into this season with those two guys. Like, you can't waste an 8th overall pick. You either trade him or play him heavy minutes. And Parrish's basketball is the one game that young players play much better with each other, opposed to playing separately with vets. Hey, spitting knowledge there as well. Absolutely, fam. It's because of harmony, right? Chemistry and harmony. Fam, players want to play the game happy. They feel happy when they're touching the ball. Their chemistry is there. They know each other's movements. All of that good stuff. Like you said, it only feeds motivation to play harder on the defensive end, right? If you've got playing with this ball hog vet, and he never gives you the rock, you're not going to want to go back on the defensive end and lace him up and and get down in a defensive stance. No way. You're going to want to play hard for your brothers, and that salute you and you share the rock, share in the success. And that's what you see with, whenever Quickly hits a big shot or Obi hits a big dunk, no other player, celebrates harder than their other mate, and their other friend. So that's going to be something to watch continuing. You got to build around this. You got to bottle this. And Knicks 100, the kid Hunt finishes at the cup, man. He finishes with good length and good size, man. Tari Eason, he sort of reminds me a bit of him. What do you guys think about that? And Canal says, is Luka playing in Summer League? I think it's 50-50, fam. 50-50. I'll tell you why. The playoffs run deep in Europe. They're still playing. And there's Eurobasket in September for the European players. I'm pretty sure Luka would play for his would play for his Oh, you mean Luka? Sorry, I thought you mean Rokas. I thought you meant Rokas. Sorry, Luka. I think, do you mean Luka Vildoza? Yeah, Cully. Right. Yep. Picks are free. Like, it can't hurt us. Yep. Exactly, fam. Yep. Picks are free. Right. Make the selection. Just pick who you think's going to be good enough, and grab them, because there's jewels. You can't afford when you're a building franchise with not much of a foundation. You can't continue to give away picks. We need it. We don't own his rights no more. We gave him to Hunt. And Cully says, Manchild, that's the very sad part. That's not much to look forward to. And Knicks worldwide salute. Yep, Maurice Endower up in here. Yep, keeping us from getting that higher pick, I think. And then he went on, and the fan base was up in arms when we didn't pay him the bag. Remember that? Then he ended up out the league, and he went over to Real Madrid. There you go. He's been out the league ever since. Man. And Randle and his attitude can go somewhere. Yet let's bring him back home to Dallas, fam, and get him comfortable with where he's he's used to the surrounds, and he could fit nice next to Luka, and play with Dwight Powell, and a quiet money salute, fam. What's good up in here? Yeah, Luka Samanic. Yep, that's it, fam. Luka Samanic, we let him go, fam. We waived him. He had plantar fasciitis for straight 3 months, I think, and the Knicks front office just gave the spot to Ferren Hunt. Well, they didn't want him no more up in this piece. So, but yeah, I'm getting excited for the draft because I know it's the sign of the future, and I'm getting excited for summer league as well. Free agency, I'm not holding my breath on nothing about that. The Mitch thing will be interesting, obviously, and RJ this season and Cam Reddish this season and Obi will be the big stories, and quickly in the development, I think, because this could really be an upcoming season. Forgetting the wins and losses, forgetting making the playoffs next season, what could really move us forward next season, which will help us, win the next chip, will be development. First and foremost, just development and clearing the decks. To summarize tonight's show, what it's all about is, moving on from these veterans, not just for the sake of it, but to clear the decks for these young players to get that opportunity, because we'll never know what they'll be, if they don't get that chance, right? Cleveland was brave enough. They did it. Memphis, brave, did it. OKC's doing it. And Houston, Detroit, Charlotte, heaps of teams on the come up. And the truth is, like I keep saying, there's only one team that's successful. Only one NBA team will win the championship. For all other teams, it's back to square one, right? Trying to find the right fit, trying to find the right players, trying to trade this guy, try to do this move, draft this guy. You watch when Dallas flame out, they'll be like, oh, what can we do next, man? We need Julius Randle. All right, let's get us Julius Randle. What's going to happen when Golden State or Phoenix lose? They might be like, man, we need to pay DeAndre Ayton, or we need to let DeAndre Ayton go. We need to bring in a different center or something. So that's the good thing that plays in our favor. It's back to square one for every other team, and we're still up in here trying to slow cook this thing. And Cully says, yeah, right, we can't give away picks and make other teams better as well. Facts, right? These drafts are getting deeper and deeper. These younger crops, right? They're growing up like 5 years of age now, watching Michael Jordan highlights, on their iPhone. You know what I mean? These young players playing competitive ball from a crazy young age. That this next crop of talent. I mean, have you guys seen that French prospect Wembanyama from next draft? Man, Wembanyama is like some dude that looks like a cartoon character. 7'5" or something. That has a handle, can bring the ball up, can stroke threes. I mean, next thing, what are we going to do? We're going to see a 4-foot player like Muggsy Bogues, but with a crazy, with crazy speed on him that no player can touch or something. We're going to see some freak come up in the next 5 years. Like they continue. And we're continue to trot out this roster. Basically, you got to keep building for the draft. That's your lottery ticket to success, right? And I know there's detractors say, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee in the draft. Absolutely, there's no guarantee a free agent's going to choose you, right? Ask Charlotte, ask Detroit, ask Utah. When was the last time they signed a key free agent? Before KD. before KD went to Golden State. Yeah, when was the last huge free agent that chose Golden State? Only because of their draft capital. So to me, the draft's no sure thing, but it's the best chance at trying to get that generational talent, right? Cleveland's in obscurity, but they got LeBron James, and he put them on the map. Cleveland's a place that not many players flock to, but they got Evan Mobley now. OKC. No one wanted to go to OKC till they got Harden, Weston, and Durant. So that's crazy. Yeah, I remember when people said Randolph was garbage until he left. Yeah, Canal and Manchild. Randolph was a 20-10 guy in New York. And Cully, right, the younger crops like that one will take care of their bodies different than before. They improve their games better than actually faster, like from what you said, watching tape and working hard. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, the hunger. And also they see the kind of bread, man, the kind of bread available for any just role player even, generational wealth. That's just motivation alone from a lot of these young players, right? You get drafted in the top 10, it's like 20, 30 mil. At the end of that rookie contract, you got 20 mil that you could set your family up, right? And you got the NCAA paying likeness money now. And high school dudes able to come out, G League Ignite dudes earning 500K, dudes playing in Australia for 500K, 1 mil at 18 years of age. Knicks 100, where that Lakers had when they had Lonzo, he was like 6'9", 6'10" with mad handles. Where that point guard the Lakers had when they had Lonzo. Bonga, was it? Yeah. I think his name was Bonga or something. Isaac Bonga. Yeah, it might have been that. But man, the Lakers have made some sorry ass moves. Moving on from BI. They had D-Lo. It traded everyone for that chip that they got with AD, but it was short lived. They're falling back to earth, and Knicks worldwide, yet purgatory, the worst place to be at, right? Facts. At least you can sell your fan base on hope with drafting and things like that. But when you're stuck with mad contracts and you're stuck with dudes that aren't improving in situations like that, man, it's a tough pill to swallow. I salute a lot of these fans. The Philly fans had to endure it for a long time, but at least they're having success now. It was for a purpose. The worst thing is to keep treading the hamster wheel, the treadmill, and you're not seeing any results for decades. Short-sighted moves just keep setting you back, further and further and further. So just to summarize before we wrap it up, and we'll be back tonight for more draft talk. But let's just talk about the good, the bad, the ugly as well. Hey, the chat's been mad tonight, on point. Appreciate you spitting knowledge. And the good for me is the flexibility for this team, that we can move in so many different ways, and at least that hasn't hamstrung us. At least there's hope when you have flexibility. A smart man can turn this trash into treasure somehow. And the Knicks young core, we haven't had a young core like this for maybe ever as well. So that's one thing. That's facts. The teams flaming out in the playoffs. Like I said, 29 other teams are going to be back to the drawing board, trying to ask what's next for them. Do we blow things up? Do we make this move? What do we do? So we're one step ahead of the curve at the moment. The playoff watch, other players are improving their stock, and we get a chance to sit back and watch what it takes to win in the playoffs. I think these young, hungry Knicks are watching the playoffs too, after having a taste last season, and they've got to be upset with this situation, this thing. The lottery's coming up soon. This could be our year. Hopefully we get in the top 4 and can get a kind of a generational all-star type talent, with potential. And with that said, Shaden Sharp is declared for the draft as well, which has pushed more prospects back down. And the bad, to me, trading the farm again for these short-sighted moves. These players that are marginal, or maybe even if we have to trade everyone and then we bring them in, then they can't do nothing without any other help. We got the log jam to clear. The veterans that we sold off tonight, it's not going to be easy, but we got to clear at least three out of these 4 veterans. Everyone except Burks and Fournier can go, basically. We got to get rid of Randle, Kemba, Noel, and Rose. In my opinion, at some point this season, maybe not before opening night, but at some point this season, we've got to get rid of at least those 4 veterans. So that's not going to be easy. The front office getting on the same page, right? It's I have apprehensions about that, and whether or not they can do that moving forward, right? Too many dudes with their own agenda. The off-season uncertainty, just exactly what's going to happen, what kind of moves, we hold our breath in anticipation and hope that it doesn't mess anything up. Brunson's free agency is going to be, on everyone's mouth for a while. He's still balling out. His price tag might be going up. And Mitch's unrestricted free agency as well. And the ugly, a lot of work to do, right? This thing ain't going to happen overnight. We need to be patient, and we need to listen, and we need to, the front office needs to listen to us, and we need to slow cook this thing, right? Because the East is stacked, and it ain't going nowhere. And trading the pick, there's no way I want to trade this pick this year. I want to keep it. If they trade it, it means they're trying to get a veteran, and it means they're trying to speed this thing up, which is just fruitless, in my opinion. Well, so that said, ladies and gents, salute to everyone in the chat. Hope everyone's well, and let's get it on the next one. Peace.